The world around us often feels like a vast ocean of sounds that never truly retreats, a constant tide of notifications, voices, and the invisible hum of a digital life that demands our attention at every waking second. We find ourselves caught in a web of invisible threads, pulling us toward screens and schedules until the quiet spaces within our own hearts become overgrown with the weeds of distraction. It is quite natural to feel a sense of exhaustion that sleep cannot fix, a weariness that comes from being constantly plugged into a reality that is not entirely our own. Perhaps we have forgotten the simple joy of watching a leaf fall or the profound depth found in a single, undisturbed breath. There is a gentle irony in our modern quest for connection, where the more we link ourselves to the global network, the further we seem to drift from the person sitting right here in this skin. Imagine for a moment a time when the evenings were lit only by the soft glow of oil lamps and the rhythm of life followed the rising and setting of the sun. In those ancient days, there was a young man named Ananda, who was known for his incredible memory and his deep devotion to the Buddha. One day, while the community was staying in a quiet grove, the air thick with the scent of wild jasmine, Ananda noticed how the villagers from the nearby town would come to the monastery carrying the heavy burdens of their daily worries. They spoke of failed harvests, of arguments with neighbors, and of the fear that they were not doing enough. They were plugged into their anxieties just as we are plugged into our devices today. The Buddha, seeing their restless minds, did not offer a complex lecture on metaphysics. Instead, he simply invited them to notice the stillness of the trees. He suggested that just as a muddy pond becomes clear when left undisturbed, the human mind regains its natural clarity when we stop stirring the waters with our constant reaching for more. This reaching is what keeps us tethered to the noise. We reach for news, for validation, for entertainment, and for a sense of belonging that always seems to be just one click away. Yet, there is a sacredness in the act of unplugging, a deliberate choice to step back from the fray, not to escape the world, but to finally see it clearly. When we silence the external chatter, we begin to hear the subtle melodies of our own existence. We notice the way our chest rises and falls, a rhythmic miracle that we usually ignore. We feel the texture of the air against our skin and the solid support of the earth beneath our feet. These are the anchors that ground us in the present, yet we often trade them for the flickering lights of a virtual landscape. It is helpful to realize that our minds are like a house with many windows. If we leave every window open during a storm, the wind and rain will wreck the interior, blowing away our peace and soaking our comfort. Unplugging is simply the act of closing those windows for a while, allowing the inner space to become warm and dry once again. It is not about rejecting technology or hating the modern world, for these are tools that can serve us well. Rather, it is about reclaiming the role of the master of the house. We have become so accustomed to responding to every chime and buzz that we have surrendered our sovereignty to a piece of glass and metal. We act as if every piece of information is a fire that must be put out immediately, forgetting that most of the sparks we chase never truly lead to a flame. Think of the story of a traveler in the time of the Buddha who was so intent on reaching his destination that he never looked up from the dusty path. He carried a heavy satchel filled with maps and guidebooks, constantly checking them to ensure he was on the right track. He met an elderly monk resting under a banyan tree, whose only possession was a simple robe and a bowl. The traveler asked the monk if he was lost, to which the monk replied that he was the only one who was truly home. The traveler realized that in his obsession with the journey and the information he had gathered about it, he had missed the beauty of the mountains, the coolness of the streams, and the kindness of the people he passed. His maps had become a wall between him and the actual world. We are often that traveler, buried in our digital maps and social updates, convinced that we are experiencing life while we are actually just consuming data about it. To reconnect with our inner world, we must first recognize the value of the void. We often fear silence because it forces us to meet ourselves without any filters or distractions. In that silence, we might encounter our sadness, our loneliness, or our unfulfilled desires. But it is also in that very silence that we find our strength, our creativity, and our capacity for genuine peace. The Buddha taught that the mind is luminous by nature, but it is clouded by visiting defilements. These visitors are the noises, the greeds, and the constant comparisons that we invite in through our constant connectivity. When we choose to unplug, we are giving those visitors a chance to leave. We sit quietly and watch them walk out the door, one by one. We do not have to fight them or push them. We simply stop feeding them with our attention. As the room grows quieter, the light of our own awareness begins to shine more brightly. This is not a mystical state reserved for those in remote caves. It is a practical reality available to everyone right here in the middle of a busy city. It starts with the courage to be bored, to stand in a queue without reaching for a phone, or to eat a meal without watching a screen. These small gaps in the noise are the seeds of a profound inner transformation. There is a beautiful account of a group of students who once asked a teacher how to maintain their focus when the world felt so chaotic. The teacher led them to a river and told them to watch the water. Some parts of the river were crashing against rocks, creating foam and loud crashes. Other parts were deep and moved so slowly they almost looked still. The teacher explained that our lives are often like the crashing water, full of drama and sound. But our true nature is like the deep water. Even when the surface is turbulent, the depths remain calm and untouched. Unplugging is the process of diving beneath the surface. It is about moving from the shallow, noisy areas of our existence into the quiet, powerful depths where we can truly breathe. Many of us feel a sense of guilt when we are not productive or connected. We have been conditioned to believe that every minute must be accounted for and that rest is merely a way to recharge so we can work more. But the Buddha spoke of a different kind of rest, a rest that is an end in itself. He spoke of the joy of seclusion, which does not necessarily mean being alone, but rather being free from the clutter of the senses. In this state, we are not trying to get anywhere or achieve anything. We are simply being. It is like the way a flower blooms. A flower does not struggle to grow. It does not check its progress against the flowers in the next garden. It simply stays rooted, absorbs the nutrients from the soil, and opens up when the time is right. When we disconnect from the digital hive, we allow ourselves to become like that flower. We return to our roots. We find nourishment in the simple things that the modern world has taught us to overlook. Have you ever truly looked at the steam rising from a cup of tea, watching the way it curls and vanishes into the air? Have you ever felt the weight of your own hands resting in your lap? These are the moments where life actually happens. Everything else is just a story we tell ourselves about life. By stepping away from the noise, we stop being characters in a script written by algorithms and start being the living, breathing subjects of our own experience. The path to this inner reconnection is paved with gentleness. We do not need to be harsh with ourselves or declare a war on our habits. Instead, we can treat our wandering minds like a small child who has been overstimulated at a fair. We lead the child away from the loud music and bright lights, taking them to a quiet garden where they can finally relax. We speak to ourselves with that same kindness. We acknowledge that the world is designed to grab our attention and that it is okay to feel overwhelmed. By validating our own struggle, we take the first step toward overcoming it. There was once a story of a young woman who lived during the time of the Buddha and was known for her incredible skill in weaving. She could create patterns so intricate they looked like dreams captured in silk. But as her fame grew, so did the demands on her time. She found herself working late into the night, her eyes straining and her heart heavy. She no longer enjoyed the feel of the thread or the rhythm of the loom. She sought out a wise elder who lived on the outskirts of the village. The elder told her that her art had lost its soul because she had lost her silence. He advised her to spend 1 hour every morning sitting by the loom without touching it. She was to just look at the empty space where the fabric would be. At first, she felt restless and anxious about the lost time. But gradually, the empty space began to fill her with peace. When she finally did pick up the shuttle, her hands moved with a grace she had never known before. Her work became even more beautiful because it was born from a place of stillness. We often think that if we unplug, we will fall behind or miss out on important opportunities. But the reality is that when we are constantly connected, we are only operating at a fraction of our true capacity. Our creativity is stifled by the constant influx of other people's ideas. Our empathy is dulled by the sheer volume of suffering we see on our screens. Our wisdom is buried under a mountain of trivia. When we step back, we are not losing anything of value. Instead, we are making room for the things that truly matter. We are clearing the stage so that the real performance of our lives can begin. This process of returning to ourselves is like coming home after a very long and tiring journey. We take off our heavy shoes, let out a long sigh, and feel the familiar comfort of a space that belongs to us. Our inner world is that home. It is always there, waiting for us to return, no matter how long we have been away. It does not judge us for our distractions or for the time we spent chasing shadows. It simply welcomes us back with open arms. The Buddha often referred to the mind as a wild elephant that needs to be tamed with a rope of mindfulness and tied to the post of the present moment. If the elephant is allowed to run wild in the forest, it will cause destruction and eventually exhaust itself. But when it is gently tamed, it becomes a powerful and loyal friend that can help us navigate even the most difficult terrain. In our current age, the forest is the internet, and the wild elephant is our wandering attention. We find ourselves charging from one link to another, from one social media platform to the next, driven by a restless energy that never seems to be satisfied. We are looking for something that the forest can never provide. True satisfaction does not come from more information or more entertainment. It comes from the quiet realization that we are already enough. It comes from the ability to sit with ourselves and feel a sense of wholeness that does not depend on anything external. As we begin to cultivate this habit of unplugging, we might notice a shift in how we perceive time. When we are constantly connected, time seems to vanish. Hours disappear into the void of scrolling and clicking. But when we step away, time seems to expand. A single afternoon can feel like a vast territory to explore. We find that we have time for the people who are physically present in our lives. We have time to listen to their stories without checking our watches. We have time to look them in the eye and truly see them. This is the real meaning of connection. It is not about how many followers we have or how many messages we send. It is about the quality of our presence in this very moment. There is a certain joy in being unreachable for a while. It is the joy of knowing that our value is not defined by our availability to others. We are allowed to have a private world, a hidden garden where only we can go. This is where we process our experiences, where we heal our wounds, and where we dream our dreams. If we never unplug, we never visit this garden, and it eventually withers away. But if we tend to it regularly, it becomes a sanctuary that can sustain us through any storm. The Buddha's teaching on the middle way is particularly relevant here. He did not advocate for a life of total isolation or for the complete rejection of the world. Instead, he taught us to find the balance between being involved in life and maintaining our inner peace. We can be active participants in the modern world while still keeping a part of ourselves reserved for the silence. We can use our phones to stay in touch with loved ones, but we can also put them in a drawer when we are having dinner. We can stay informed about the news, but we can also choose not to let it consume our entire day. This balance is the key to living a life that is both meaningful and peaceful. Consider the life of the ancient monks who lived in the forest. They were not hiding from the world out of fear. They were retreating so they could develop the strength and clarity needed to truly help others. They knew that a person who is drowning cannot save another who is drowning. They had to first find solid ground for themselves. By unplugging, we are finding our own solid ground. We are developing the inner resources that allow us to be more patient, more kind, and more present for the people around us. Our silence becomes a gift that we share with the world. There is a quiet power in a person who is not easily distracted. In a room full of people who are constantly checking their phones, the person who is simply present stands out like a calm lake in the middle of a storm. People are naturally drawn to that energy. They feel seen and heard in a way that is increasingly rare. By reconnecting with our inner world, we are also improving our ability to connect with others on a much deeper level. We move beyond the superficial exchange of data and into the profound exchange of human spirit. Every time we choose to turn off a screen and tune into our own hearts, we are performing a small act of rebellion against a culture that wants us to be perpetually distracted. We are saying that our peace is more important than their profit. We are saying that our inner life has a value that cannot be measured in clicks or likes. This is a journey that requires patience and persistence. Some days it will feel easy to step away, and other days the pull of the noise will feel almost irresistible. But each time we make the effort, it gets a little easier. The path becomes clearer, and the destination becomes more inviting. Imagine a small village where the people were once very happy. They spent their days working in the fields and their evenings telling stories around a fire. One day, a merchant brought a magical box to the village that could show images of far-off lands and play music from distant cities. At first, everyone was fascinated. They spent all their time gathered around the box, forgetting their stories and their work. The village grew quiet, and the people became strangers to one another. Their hearts felt heavy and they didn't know why. Finally, an old grandmother decided to walk away from the box and go sit by the river. One by one, others followed her. They realized that the images in the box were just shadows, but the river was real. The stories they told each other were real. The feeling of the sun on their faces was real. They didn't destroy the box, but they moved it to a small corner and only looked at it once in a while. They chose to live their lives in the sunlight instead of the shadows. We are currently in a world dominated by many such magical boxes. They offer us a version of reality that is often more glittering and exciting than our own daily lives. But it is a hollow excitement. It is like eating a meal made of colorful paper. It looks good, but it provides no nourishment. To truly feed our souls, we must turn toward the things that are real. We must embrace the simplicity of the present moment. We must find the beauty in the ordinary and the sacred in the mundane. As we wander through this landscape of our own minds, we might find that the most profound insights come not from complex books or lengthy discourses, but from the simple act of noticing. We notice the way a thought arises like a bubble in a glass of water, stays for a moment, and then vanishes. We notice the way a feeling of irritation or joy sweeps through us like a breeze, changing the atmosphere of our inner world before moving on. By becoming observers of our own experience, we stop being victims of it. We realize that we are not our thoughts or our feelings. We are the spacious awareness in which all these things happen. This awareness is the ultimate unplugged state. It is a place of pure connection that exists beyond the reach of any technology. It is our birthright, a sanctuary that can never be taken away from us. When we connect with this part of ourselves, we feel a sense of security that is not based on external circumstances. We know that whatever happens in the world, we have a place of refuge within. This is the peace that passes all understanding, the quiet joy that does not need a reason to exist. We can begin this practice today, right now, in this very moment. We don't need to wait for a vacation or a retreat. We can simply decide to take 5 minutes to sit in silence. We can leave our phones in another room. We can close our eyes and listen to the sounds of our own breathing. We can feel the life force flowing through our bodies. In those 5 minutes, we are not consumers or workers or citizens. We are simply human beings, alive and present in the mystery of existence. And in that simplicity, we find everything we have been looking for. It is like the story of the man who spent his whole life searching for a legendary treasure hidden in a distant mountain range. He traveled across oceans and deserts, facing countless dangers and hardships. He grew old and weary, his body broken and his spirit exhausted. Finally, he returned to his humble childhood home to spend his final days. One afternoon, while digging a small hole in his garden to plant a tree, his shovel hit something hard. He dug deeper and found a chest filled with gold and jewels. The treasure he had sought across the world had been buried beneath his own feet all along. He had only needed to stop searching elsewhere and look where he was standing. Our inner peace is that treasure. We often look for it in the approval of others, in the acquisition of wealth, or in the endless stream of digital content. But it is already here, within us, waiting to be discovered. All we have to do is stop the outward search for a while and turn our gaze inward. We have to be willing to be still enough to feel the ground beneath us. We have to be quiet enough to hear the song of our own soul. This inner world is not a static place. It is a vibrant and ever-changing landscape. Sometimes it will feel like a calm meadow on a sunny day. Other times it might feel like a dark forest in the middle of a storm. But regardless of the weather, it is our world. By spending time there, we become familiar with its terrain. We learn how to navigate the difficult areas and how to enjoy the beautiful ones. We become the master gardeners of our own consciousness, knowing which thoughts to water and which ones to let wither. The Buddha once spoke about a lute and how its strings must be tuned correctly to produce a beautiful sound. If the strings are too tight, they will break. If they are too loose, they will not play. Our connection to the world is like those strings. If we are too tightly wound up in the noise and the busyness, we will eventually snap under the pressure. If we are too disconnected and indifferent, we will fail to produce any melody in our lives. Unplugging to reconnect is the art of finding that perfect tension. It is about being engaged with life while remaining centered in our own being. It is about hearing the music of the world without losing the rhythm of our own hearts. As we move through our days, we can find small ways to maintain this balance. We can practice mindful walking, feeling each step as we move from one place to another. We can practice mindful eating, tasting every bite of our food instead of gulping it down while reading an email. We can practice mindful listening, giving our full attention to the person who is speaking to us. These are not just exercises in concentration. They are acts of love. They are ways of saying that this moment, and this person, and this experience, are worthy of our full presence. There is a deep sense of relief that comes from realizing we don't have to know everything or be everywhere. We can be content with our small corner of the world. We can find immense satisfaction in a limited but deep life. The digital age promises us the world, but it often gives us a version that is thin and fragmented. By choosing to go deep rather than wide, we find a richness that cannot be found in any feed. We find a depth of meaning that sustains us through the challenges of life. Think of a great old tree in the middle of a bustling city. All around it, there is the roar of traffic, the shouting of people, and the frantic energy of commerce. But the tree remains steadfast. It does not try to compete with the noise. It does not try to move to a quieter place. It simply sinks its roots deep into the earth and stretches its branches toward the sky. It provides shade for the weary and a home for the birds. It is a silent witness to the chaos, yet it remains undisturbed. By connecting with our inner world, we become like that tree. We develop a stability that is not easily shaken. We become a source of peace for ourselves and for everyone who crosses our path. This doesn't mean we become cold or distant. On the contrary, when we are truly connected to ourselves, we are much more capable of feeling genuine compassion for others. We see that everyone else is also struggling with the same noise and the same distractions. We see the collective exhaustion of a world that has forgotten how to rest. This understanding softens our hearts. We become more patient with the person who is rude to us, realizing they are likely just as overwhelmed as we have felt. We become more generous with our time, knowing how precious a moment of undivided attention truly is. There is a story about a monk who was known for his incredible peace. No matter what happened, he remained calm and smiling. A curious traveler asked him his secret. The monk replied that when he was standing, he knew he was standing. When he was sitting, he knew he was sitting. When he was walking, he knew he was walking. The traveler was disappointed, thinking this was too simple. But then he realized that most of us are never where we are. When we are standing, we are already thinking about sitting. When we are sitting, we are already planning our next walk. We are always one step ahead of ourselves, chasing a future that never arrives. Unplugging brings us back to the present. It stops the frantic chase and allows us to finally arrive. It is a curious thing how we have become so afraid of being alone with our own thoughts. We treat a few minutes of silence as if it were an enemy to be defeated. But our thoughts are not our enemies. They are just the natural activity of the mind, like waves on the ocean. If we stop fighting them and just observe them, they eventually settle down. We find that beneath the surface level of our thoughts, there is a vast and quiet space. This space is not empty. It is full of potential, full of wisdom, and full of peace. This is the place where we truly live. When we reconnect with this inner space, we find that our sense of humor returns. We start to see the absurdity of our own habits. We can laugh at how seriously we took a minor social media interaction or how much stress we felt over a trivial task. This lightness of being is a sign of spiritual health. It means we are no longer gripped by the ego's need for constant drama. We can move through the world with a certain playfulness, knowing that while our actions matter, we do not need to carry the weight of the entire world on our shoulders. There is a beautiful ancient story about a king who wanted to find the most peaceful painting in the world. He offered a great reward to any artist who could capture true peace. Many artists brought their works. Some painted quiet lakes, others painted snowy mountains, and some painted sleeping children. But the king chose a painting that showed a thundering waterfall crashing down a jagged cliff. The sky was dark with storm clouds and lightning flashed in the distance. It looked like the opposite of peace. But if you looked closely, tucked into a small crevice behind the waterfall, was a tiny nest. Inside the nest, a mother bird was sitting on her eggs, looking out at the chaos with a calm and steady gaze. The king said that true peace is not the absence of noise or trouble, but the ability to remain calm in the middle of it. This is exactly what unplugging to reconnect offers us. It gives us that tiny nest behind the waterfall. The world will continue to be noisy. Technology will continue to advance and demand our attention. The demands of our lives will not suddenly disappear. But we can have a place within us that remains quiet and steady. We can look out at the storm and the crashing water without being swept away. We can be the mother bird, focused on what truly matters, nurturing the life that is right here in our care. To find this inner nest, we must be willing to let go of the need to be constantly informed. There is a difference between being informed and being wise. Wisdom requires time and reflection. It requires us to sit with what we have learned and let it sink into our bones. Information is like a flash of light that disappears as quickly as it arrives. Wisdom is like a slow-burning fire that provides warmth for the whole night. By stepping away from the constant flow of information, we give our wisdom a chance to grow. We start to see the patterns in our lives and the lessons in our experiences. We often use our devices to fill the gaps in our day because we are uncomfortable with the space between things. But those gaps are where the magic happens. They are the breaths between the words. Without the gaps, the words would just be a meaningless wall of sound. By allowing the gaps to exist, we give our lives a sense of rhythm and grace. We find that we don't need to fill every second with something. The emptiness itself is meaningful. It is the canvas upon which our life is painted. Think about the way a potter works with clay. The potter doesn't just focus on the clay itself, but on the space that the clay encloses. It is the empty space inside the vase that makes it useful. It is the empty space inside the bowl that allows it to hold soup. Our lives are the same. It is the quiet, empty spaces that give our actions meaning and purpose. If we are completely full of noise and activity, we have no room for anything new to enter. We have no room for inspiration, for joy, or for the quiet whispers of our own intuition. Unplugging is the act of creating that space. It is like clearing out an old attic to make room for something beautiful. We let go of the old newspapers, the broken furniture, and the dust of yesterday's worries. We make room for the fresh air to circulate. We make room for the light to enter. And in that light, we see ourselves as we truly are, not as the world wants us to be. We find a sense of freedom that is not dependent on anyone else's permission. There was once a young monk who was struggling with his practice. He felt that his mind was too loud and that he would never find the peace he sought. He went to his teacher and asked for a more difficult task, thinking that hard work would drown out the noise. The teacher smiled and gave him a very small, delicate bell. He told the monk to carry the bell everywhere he went, but he must never let it ring. At first, the monk was extremely frustrated. Every movement he made caused the bell to chime. He had to walk so slowly and move so carefully. But after a few weeks, he noticed something. He had become incredibly aware of his body and his surroundings. He was no longer thinking about the future or the past because he was so focused on the present moment and the silence of the bell. One day, he realized that he didn't need the bell anymore. The silence had moved inside him. We don't need to carry a literal bell, but we can treat our inner peace with that same level of care. We can notice when we are about to lose it to a pointless argument, a mindless scroll, or a surge of unnecessary anxiety. We can choose to move a little more slowly, to speak a little more gently, and to listen a little more deeply. These are the ways we keep our inner bell from ringing. These are the ways we preserve the silence that allows us to stay connected to our true selves. This connection is not a one-time event. It is a continuous process. Every day, we are faced with the choice to either plug in and lose ourselves or unplug and find ourselves. It is a practice that we return to again and again, with patience and without judgment. We don't have to be perfect. We just have to be willing to try. We just have to value our inner world enough to give it the time and attention it deserves. When we are truly connected to our inner world, we start to notice that we are also more connected to the natural world. We feel a kinship with the trees, the birds, and the changing seasons. We see that we are part of a much larger story, a vast and beautiful tapestry of life. This realization is incredibly grounding. It reminds us that our personal worries are small in the grand scheme of things. It reminds us that we are supported by a universe that is far more intelligent and powerful than we can ever imagine. In the ancient scriptures, there is a story of a traveler who was caught in a heavy rainstorm. He found a small cave and huddled inside, feeling miserable and cold. He cursed the rain and wished for the sun to come out. But then he noticed a small plant growing near the mouth of the cave. The plant was drinking in the rain, its leaves turning a vibrant green. It was not resisting the storm, it was using it to grow. The traveler realized that the rain was not his enemy. It was a source of life. His misery came not from the rain, but from his resistance to it. Our modern world, with all its noise and complexity, can feel like a storm. We can spend our lives resisting it, feeling miserable and overwhelmed. Or we can find our inner cave, a place of stillness and observation, and use the challenges of the world to grow. We can learn to be discerning about what we let in and what we keep out. We can learn to find the nourishment in the middle of the noise. By unplugging, we are not hiding from the storm. We are finding the perspective that allows us to see the storm for what it is. This journey inward is the most important journey we will ever take. It is the journey from distraction to presence, from noise to silence, and from fragmentation to wholeness. It is the journey home. And the most wonderful thing about this journey is that we don't have to go anywhere to take it. We don't need a passport or a ticket. We just need to stop, breathe, and look within. We just need to have the courage to be quiet and the patience to listen. Imagine a life where you are not constantly reacting to the world around you. Imagine a life where you have a deep sense of peace that is not easily disturbed. Imagine a life where you feel a genuine connection to yourself and to the people you love. This is not a dream. It is a possibility that is available to each of us. It begins with the simple act of unplugging. It begins with the decision to reclaim our attention and our lives. It begins right now, in the space between these words. The Buddha often said that his teachings were like a raft used to cross a river. Once you reach the other side, you don't need to carry the raft on your back. You leave it behind and continue your journey. Our devices and our connections are like that raft. They can help us cross certain rivers of information and communication. But we must be careful not to become so attached to the raft that we forget to ever step onto the shore. We must be willing to leave the raft behind for a while so we can walk on the solid ground of our own existence. The shore is waiting for us. It is a place of sun-drenched beaches and quiet forests. It is a place where the air is fresh and the light is clear. It is our own inner world, restored to its natural state of peace and clarity. By choosing to unplug, we are choosing to step onto that shore. We are choosing to experience the reality of our own lives instead of the shadows on our screens. We are choosing to be truly alive. As we spend more time on this shore, we find that our perspective on the world begins to change. We no longer feel the same urgency to keep up with every trend or to respond to every demand. We realize that most of the things we thought were important are actually quite trivial. We start to focus on the things that have lasting value, like kindness, integrity, and genuine connection. We find that we are happier with less because we have found something within us that is more than enough. There is a story of a master who lived in a very small and simple hut. A visitor came to see him and was shocked by how little the master had. The visitor asked where his furniture was. The master asked the visitor the same question. The visitor replied that he was only a traveler passing through. The master smiled and said that he too was only a traveler passing through. This is the essence of the unplugged life. It is the realization that we are all travelers in this world. We don't need to carry a heavy load of possessions or digital clutter. We just need to travel light and enjoy the journey. By letting go of the noise, we are lightening our load. We are making it easier for ourselves to move through the world with grace and ease. We are becoming more nimble, more flexible, and more open to the wonders of life. We find that we don't need to be constantly entertained because we have found a source of joy within ourselves. We don't need to be constantly validated because we have found a sense of worth that is not dependent on others. This is the true meaning of reconnecting. It is not about finding something new. It is about remembering something old. It is about returning to the state of wonder and presence that we all had as children, before the world taught us to be distracted and afraid. It is about peeling back the layers of noise and habit to reveal the shining diamond of our own awareness. And once we have found that diamond, we realize that it is the only thing we ever truly needed. We can look at our lives as a series of choices. Each moment presents us with a fork in the road. One path leads toward the noise, the distraction, and the fragmentation of the digital world. The other path leads toward the silence, the presence, and the wholeness of our inner world. We are free to choose which path we take. And while the path of noise may seem more exciting and more crowded, the path of silence is the one that leads to true peace. It is helpful to remember that we are not alone on this journey. Millions of people all over the world are feeling the same exhaustion and the same longing for something more. We are all part of a collective awakening, a gradual realization that the way we have been living is not sustainable for our spirits. By choosing to unplug, we are contributing to this awakening. We are showing others that it is possible to live a different kind of life. We are becoming beacons of peace in a world that is often dark with confusion. There was a group of monks who lived in a very remote monastery. They were famous for their beautiful chanting, which people would travel for days to hear. One day, a visitor asked the head monk how they managed to sing with such harmony and beauty. The monk replied that they didn't focus on the singing itself. Instead, they focused on the silence between the notes. They understood that it was the silence that gave the music its power and its meaning. If they could maintain the silence in their hearts, the music would naturally be beautiful. Our lives are like that chanting. Our actions, our words, and our relationships are the notes. But the quality of our lives depends on the silence between the notes. If we have no silence, our lives become a chaotic jumble of sound. But if we can cultivate the silence within us, our lives become a beautiful song. Unplugging is the way we preserve that silence. It is the way we ensure that the music of our lives is harmonious and meaningful. As we go about our daily tasks, we can carry this silence with us like a precious jewel. We can protect it from the noise of the world, knowing that it is our most valuable possession. We can return to it whenever we feel overwhelmed or lost. It is always there, just beneath the surface, waiting to comfort and guide us. It is the quiet voice of our own wisdom, the steady pulse of our own being. Consider the life of the Buddha after his enlightenment. He did not spend all his time in meditation. He traveled extensively, teaching and helping people from all walks of life. But he always maintained his inner silence. He was deeply engaged with the world, yet he was never overwhelmed by it. He was like a lotus flower that grows in the mud but remains untouched by it. By connecting with our inner world, we can develop that same quality. We can be in the world but not of it. We can navigate the complexities of modern life with a sense of freedom and ease. This is the ultimate goal of unplugging to reconnect. It is not to hide from life, but to live it more fully. It is to move from a state of mindless reaction to a state of mindful action. It is to stop being a victim of our circumstances and start being the creator of our own peace. It is a journey that is well worth taking, a path that leads to the very heart of what it means to be human. As we continue on this path, we find that the boundaries between our inner world and the outer world begin to blur. We see that the peace we have found within ourselves is the same peace that exists in the heart of all things. We see that by being kind to ourselves, we are being kind to the world. We see that by finding our own stillness, we are contributing to the stillness of the universe. This is the profound truth that the sages of all ages have discovered. We are not separate from the world, we are the world. And so, we take another breath, and another step, moving ever closer to the center of our own being. We leave the noise behind, not with anger, but with a gentle smile. We turn toward the silence, not with fear, but with an open heart. We find that everything we have been looking for is already here, in the quiet spaces of our own lives. We find that we are home. In the gentle light of this realization, we can look at our devices not as masters to be served, but as tools to be used. We can appreciate the ways they connect us to information and to each other, but we can also recognize their limits. We can choose to use them with intention and with awareness. We can choose to put them aside when they no longer serve our peace. This is the mark of a truly free person. Imagine walking through a crowded market. There are people shouting, music playing, and 1,000 different sights and smells competing for your attention. In the past, you might have felt overwhelmed and exhausted by it all. But now, you carry a small lantern of silence within you. The noise and the chaos are still there, but they no longer touch you in the same way. You can move through the crowd with a sense of calm and grace. You can observe the scene without being swept up in it. You are present, but you are also centered. This is the gift of inner reconnection. This inner lantern is not something we have to build from scratch. It is already there, deep within us. It is the light of our own consciousness. All we have to do is clear away the cobwebs of distraction and the dust of habit that have obscured it. We have to be willing to sit in the darkness for a while so that our eyes can adjust to the light. We have to be patient with the process of clearing. There is an old story of a man who found a dirty, blackened piece of metal in a field. He thought it was worthless, but something about it caught his eye. He took it home and began to clean it. He scrubbed away the dirt and the rust, layer by layer. Gradually, the metal began to shine. He realized it was not a piece of scrap metal at all, but a beautiful silver mirror. Once it was clean, it could reflect the world around it with perfect clarity. Our minds are like that mirror. They have become covered with the grime of constant stimulation and the rust of anxious thoughts. By unplugging, we are cleaning the mirror. We are scrubbing away the things that prevent us from seeing ourselves and the world clearly. As the mirror becomes cleaner, our lives become more vibrant. We see beauty where we once saw only boredom. We find meaning where we once found only noise. This process of cleaning is not always easy. Sometimes we will encounter layers of dirt that are particularly stubborn. We might feel frustrated and tempted to give up. But if we persist, if we continue to apply the gentle pressure of mindfulness, the shine will eventually return. We will see our own reflection, and we will realize that we are far more beautiful and powerful than we ever imagined. The Buddha's path is often described as one of gradual training. We don't become enlightened overnight. We don't find perfect peace in a single afternoon. Instead, we make small changes, day by day. We take small steps toward the silence. We practice unplugging for 10 minutes, then 20, then an hour. We notice the small improvements in our mood, our focus, and our relationships. These small successes give us the strength to keep going. Think of the way a great artist creates a masterpiece. They don't just throw paint at a canvas and hope for the best. They work carefully, adding one small brushstroke at a time. They step back and look at their work, then they return and add another stroke. Gradually, the image begins to emerge. Our lives are our greatest masterpiece. By being mindful of our attention and our choices, we are adding the brushstrokes that create a life of beauty and peace. We can be artists of our own experience. We can choose the colors of our day. We can choose to paint with the bright colors of presence and joy, or the gray tones of distraction and worry. By unplugging, we are clearing our palette. We are giving ourselves the chance to start fresh, to choose a new direction, to create something truly wonderful. There was a story about a traveler who was lost in a dense forest. He had been wandering for days, and he was tired and hungry. He came across a small clearing where an old man was sitting by a fire. The traveler asked for directions out of the forest. The old man told him that there was no way out, but there was a way in. He explained that the more the traveler tried to escape the forest, the more lost he would become. But if he could find the center of the forest, he would find everything he needed. Our lives can often feel like that dense forest. We are constantly looking for a way out, a way to escape the stress, the noise, and the demands. But the real answer is to find the way in. It is to go deep into the center of our own being. It is to find the place where we are always safe and always at peace. By unplugging, we are moving toward that center. We are stopping the frantic search for an exit and starting the profound journey into the heart of things. This journey into the heart is not a lonely one. As we find our own center, we find that we are more connected to everyone else's center as well. We see that we are all part of the same forest. We see that our individual lives are like the leaves on a single, vast tree. This realization brings a sense of profound belonging. We are no longer isolated individuals struggling in a hostile world. We are part of a living, breathing whole. In the silence of our inner world, we find the strength to be ourselves. We stop trying to fit into the boxes that society has created for us. We stop trying to live up to the expectations of others. We find a sense of authenticity that is deeply liberating. We are free to be who we truly are, with all our strengths and all our vulnerabilities. This authenticity is a magnetic quality. It draws people to us and inspires them to be their own true selves as well. The journey of unplugging and reconnecting is essentially a journey of love. It is a way of loving ourselves enough to give ourselves the gift of silence. It is a way of loving the world enough to bring our full, undistracted presence to it. It is a way of loving the mystery of life enough to be still and listen to what it has to say. And in that love, we find the meaning and the purpose that we have been seeking all along. So, let us begin this journey with a sense of curiosity and joy. Let us embrace the silence as a dear friend. Let us treat our attention as a sacred resource. Let us find the courage to turn off the noise and tune into the music of our own hearts. And as we do, let us remember that we are already whole, already complete, and already home. There is a simple beauty in the act of just being. We don't need to do anything to justify our existence. We are like the stars in the sky or the waves in the ocean. We are a natural part of the unfolding of the universe. When we unplug, we are returning to that natural state. We are letting go of the artificial and embracing the real. We are finding the peace that has always been our true nature. Imagine a world where everyone took a little time each day to unplug and reconnect. Imagine a world where people were more present, more kind, and more peaceful. It would be a very different world indeed. And that world begins with each of us. It begins with our own small choices. It begins with our own willingness to be still. By finding our own inner peace, we are helping to create a more peaceful world for everyone. As we move through our lives, let us be mindful of the seeds we are planting. Are we planting seeds of distraction and anxiety, or are we planting seeds of presence and peace? By choosing to unplug, we are planting the seeds of a better life. We are nurturing the qualities that will allow us to flourish and grow. We are becoming the gardeners of our own souls. And in the end, it is the quality of our inner life that truly matters. When we look back on our lives, we won't remember the thousands of hours we spent on our devices. We will remember the moments of true connection, the moments of profound silence, and the moments when we felt truly alive. We will remember the beauty we found in the ordinary and the peace we found in the middle of the storm. By unplugging now, we are creating the memories that will sustain us in the future. Let us take a moment to appreciate the silence that is always available to us. It is like an old friend who is always there, ready to listen and ready to comfort. It is a sanctuary that no one can take away. It is our own inner world, waiting for us to return. And so, with a deep breath and a quiet heart, we continue our journey, moving ever closer to the center of our own being, ever closer to the peace that is our birthright. The path is clear, and the destination is inviting. There is no need to hurry. There is no need to worry. We just need to take one step at a time, with awareness and with grace. We just need to be willing to unplug from the noise so we can reconnect with the truth. And in that reconnection, we find everything we have ever been looking for. Think of a small bird that has been caught in a house. It flies from window to window, hitting the glass and becoming increasingly exhausted and afraid. It doesn't see that there is an open door right behind it. All it needs to do is stop its frantic flying for a moment and look around. When it finally sees the door, it flies out into the open sky, free at last. We are often like that bird. We are frantically flying from one distraction to another, trying to find a way to be happy and at peace. We are hitting the glass of our own habits and our own anxieties. But the door to our inner world is always open. All we need to do is stop for a moment and look within. When we finally step through that door, we find a sense of freedom and joy that we never thought possible. We find the vast, open sky of our own awareness. This is the promise of the path we are on. It is a promise of freedom, a promise of peace, and a promise of genuine connection. It is a path that has been traveled by the wise for thousands of years, and it is a path that is open to us today. By choosing to unplug, we are joining a long lineage of seekers who have found that the greatest treasures are hidden within. We are becoming the masters of our own journey. As we move forward, let us carry the light of this understanding with us. Let us be gentle with ourselves and others. Let us find joy in the small things and peace in the quiet moments. Let us be mindful of our choices and intentional with our attention. And most of all, let us remember that the most important connection we will ever have is the one we have with our own inner world. The world will continue its frantic dance. The noise will continue to rise and fall. But we can remain steady. We can remain calm. We can remain connected to the source of our own peace. We can be like the moon, reflecting the light of the sun while remaining silent in the night sky. We can be a source of quiet inspiration for everyone we meet. In the ancient story of the Buddha's life, it is said that after his enlightenment, he sat under the Bodhi tree for 7 weeks, simply experiencing the joy of liberation. He was not in a hurry to go anywhere or do anything. He was simply being. This is the ultimate unplugged state. It is a state of perfect satisfaction and perfect peace. While we may not achieve that state immediately, we can experience glimpses of it every time we choose to be still. These glimpses are the stars that guide us through the night. They remind us of what is possible. They give us the hope and the courage to continue our practice. They show us that there is a different way to live, a way that is rooted in peace and presence. By unplugging to reconnect, we are choosing that way. We are choosing to live our lives in the light of our own awareness. So, let us take one more deep breath together. Let us feel the stillness that is present in this very moment. Let us acknowledge the beauty of our own inner world. And let us move forward with a sense of peace and purpose, knowing that we have everything we need right here within us. The journey continues, and it is a beautiful one. Every moment of silence is a gift we give to ourselves. Every moment of presence is a gift we give to the world. By choosing to be still, we are choosing to be truly alive. We are choosing to experience the wonder of our own existence. We are choosing to be home. As we wander through the landscape of our daily lives, let us look for the quiet places. Let us look for the gaps in the noise. Let us look for the moments of simple beauty. These are the portals to our inner world. They are the invitations to come home. By accepting these invitations, we are building a life that is rich in meaning and deep in peace. There is a story of a great ocean that was once very restless. It wanted to be still, but the wind was always blowing and the waves were always crashing. The ocean went to the moon and asked for help. The moon told the ocean that the wind and the waves were only on the surface. Deep down, the ocean was already still. The ocean only needed to remember its own depths. We are like that ocean. The noise and the distractions are only on the surface of our lives. Deep down, we are already at peace. We only need to remember our own depths. We only need to sink beneath the surface and experience the stillness that has always been there. Unplugging is the way we remember. It is the way we return to the depths of our own being. This remembrance is a radical act. In a world that wants us to stay on the surface, choosing to go deep is a form of spiritual rebellion. It is a way of saying that we refuse to be defined by the superficial. It is a way of claiming our own depth and our own power. It is a way of being truly human in a digital age. The deeper we go, the more we find that there is nothing to fear. The silence is not an empty void, but a fertile ground. It is the source of our creativity, our compassion, and our wisdom. It is the place where we find the answers to our most profound questions. It is the place where we find ourselves. So, let us not be afraid of the quiet. Let us not be afraid of being alone with our own thoughts. Let us embrace the silence as the most precious thing we have. Let us use it to nourish our souls and to heal our hearts. Let us use it to reconnect with the beauty and the mystery of life. And as we do, we will find that the world around us begins to change. It becomes more vivid, more meaningful, and more beautiful. We start to see the sacred in the ordinary. We start to feel the connection in the isolation. We start to find the peace in the chaos. This is the true power of unplugging to reconnect. It is the power to transform our lives and our world. Let us move forward with a sense of wonder and gratitude. Let us be thankful for the moments of silence and the moments of presence. Let us be thankful for the journey and for the destination. And let us always remember that the most important connection is the one that exists right here, in the quiet spaces of our own hearts. In the simple act of breathing, we find a bridge between the inner and the outer. Each inhale brings the world into us, and each exhale releases us back into the world. By focusing on our breath, we are practicing the ultimate form of connection. We are realizing that we are not separate from the atmosphere that surrounds us. We are in a constant, intimate exchange with the universe. This awareness is the foundation of a peaceful life. As we cultivate this awareness, we find that we no longer need the constant stimulation of the digital world to feel alive. The simple act of being is enough. The movement of our breath is enough. The beating of our heart is enough. We find a sense of fulfillment that is quiet and steady, a joy that does not need a reason. This is the true meaning of spiritual freedom. And so, we continue our walk through the forest of our lives, no longer lost, but deeply engaged with every tree and every leaf. We move with a sense of purpose and a sense of peace. We carry our inner silence with us, a quiet melody that harmonizes with the song of the world. We are unplugged from the noise, but we are more connected than ever before. There is a story of a famous musician who was asked what the most important part of a musical performance was. He didn't say it was the notes or the technique. He said it was the listener's heart. He explained that the music only comes alive when it meets the silence and the openness of a heart that is truly listening. Our lives are like that music. They only become truly meaningful when they meet the silence of our own hearts. By unplugging, we are making ourselves into better listeners. We are creating the space where the music of our lives can truly be heard. We are opening ourselves up to the beauty and the mystery that are always present. We are becoming the conscious audience of our own existence. And in that listening, we find that the world is much more than it seems. It is a vast and intricate symphony of life, full of hidden melodies and subtle rhythms. We find that we are a vital part of that symphony, and that our own silence is a necessary note in the grand composition. By being quiet, we are actually contributing to the beauty of the whole. This is the great paradox of the spiritual life. By stepping back, we move forward. By letting go, we receive. By being silent, we are heard. By unplugging, we are finally, truly connected. And in that connection, we find the peace, the joy, and the meaning that we have been seeking all our lives. The journey of 15,000 words is just a beginning. It is a map to a territory that can only be explored by each of us individually. The real journey happens in the moments when we choose to be still. It happens in the gaps between our thoughts. It happens in the silence of our own hearts. May you find the courage to unplug. May you find the patience to listen. May you find the joy of reconnecting with your own inner world. And may you always remember that you are a beautiful and necessary part of the great mystery of life. Every step you take toward the silence is a step toward your true self. Every moment you spend in presence is a moment spent in the heart of reality. You are not alone on this journey. You are supported by the wisdom of the ages and by the silent strength of your own soul. So, let us walk together into the quiet. Let us embrace the stillness. Let us find the peace that passes all understanding. And let us live our lives with the grace and the beauty that come from being truly, deeply connected to ourselves and to the world. The light is shining within you. It is a light that can never be extinguished. It is the light of your own awareness, the light of your own love. By unplugging from the noise, you are allowing that light to shine more brightly. You are becoming a beacon of peace in a world that needs it more than ever. Trust in the process. Trust in the silence. Trust in yourself. The way is open, and the destination is home. And as you arrive, you will find that you were never really lost. You were just waiting for the moment to wake up and see the beauty that was always there. The world of screens and sounds will always be there, but it no longer has the power to pull you away from yourself. You have found something more powerful, something more real. You have found the quiet center of the storm. You have found the place where you can truly breathe. And in that breath, you find everything. You find the earth beneath your feet and the sky above your head. You find the love in your heart and the wisdom in your mind. You find the peace that you have always been looking for. You are unplugged. You are reconnected. You are whole. Let this understanding settle into your bones like a warm sun on a winter's day. Let it fill you with a sense of calm and a sense of strength. You are exactly where you need to be. You are doing exactly what you need to do. You are becoming the person you were always meant to be. The quiet is not something to be feared, but a treasure to be cherished. It is the source of all that is good and true. It is the foundation of a life well lived. By choosing the quiet, you are choosing the path of wisdom and the path of peace. You are choosing to be free. And so, with a heart full of gratitude and a mind clear as a mountain lake, you step into the rest of your life. You move with a sense of ease and a sense of joy. You are no longer chasing the shadows on the wall, you are living in the light of the sun. You are the master of your own attention, the gardener of your own soul, and the quiet witness to the beautiful unfolding of your own life. The journey continues, one breath at a time, one moment at a time. And in every moment, you have the choice to unplug and reconnect. In every moment, you have the chance to come home. There is a story about a traveler who reached the end of the world and found only a large, silent mirror. When he looked into the mirror, he didn't see the world he had left behind. He saw a version of himself that was radiant and peaceful, a version that he had never known before. He realized that the end of the world was actually the beginning of himself. By unplugging from the world's noise, we are reaching that mirror. We are seeing our true selves for the first time. We are discovering the radiance and the peace that have always been our true nature. And we are realizing that the world we thought we knew was only a collection of shadows. The real world is the one we find within. As you move through your days, may you carry this mirror with you. May you use it to see the truth in every situation. May you use it to reflect the light of your own peace onto everyone you meet. And may you always remember that the most beautiful sight you will ever see is the reflection of your own soul in the silence of your own heart. The path is long, but the journey is joyful. There is no need for haste. There is only the need for awareness. Take your time. Savor the silence. Appreciate the presence. You are doing a wonderful thing for yourself and for the world. You are finding your way back to the heart of what it means to be alive. In the gentle flow of these words, we have explored the terrain of the inner world. We have looked at the challenges and the rewards of unplugging. We have shared stories of the wise and the simple. We have pointed the way to the silence that is always present. Now, it is up to you to take the next step. It is up to you to put down the device, close your eyes, and listen. It is up to you to find the quiet space within your own heart and to make it your home. You have the map, and you have the strength. All you need is the willingness to be still. May your journey be peaceful. May your heart be light. May your mind be clear. And may you find the profound connection that only comes from being truly unplugged from the noise of the world. The silence is waiting. The peace is waiting. You are waiting. Come home to yourself. Come home to the truth. Come home to the beauty of the present moment. Everything you need is already here. Everything you seek is already within you. And so, as we move toward the next part of this meditation, let us hold on to this sense of peace. Let us allow it to grow and to deepen. Let us carry it with us as we move through the world. We are not just hearing about peace, we are becoming peace. We are not just thinking about connection, we are experiencing it. This is the path of the heart. This is the way of the soul. This is the true meaning of unplugging to reconnect. It is a journey that never truly ends, but one that gets more beautiful with every step. It is a journey that brings us back to ourselves, again and again, in a never-ending cycle of awakening and peace. Let the words fade away now, leaving only the resonance of their meaning in your heart. Let the silence become your guide. Let the peace become your foundation. You are ready. You are whole. You are home. Walking along the edges of our busy lives, we might notice how often we are physically present but mentally miles away, wandering through the corridors of a digital future or a remembered past. It is a common human experience to be sitting at a dinner table with loved ones while our fingers itch to check a screen, as if the life happening right in front of us is somehow less urgent than the one unfolding in the palm of our hand. This subtle fragmentation of our soul is what makes us feel like strangers in our own homes. Yet, the moment we decide to lay down the phone and truly look into the eyes of another person, we are performing a sacred act of return. We are saying that this person, this breath, and this shared silence are enough to fill our hearts. There is an old story from the days when the Buddha walked the dusty roads of northern India, involving a man named Pukkasati who had heard of the great teacher but had never seen his face. Pukkasati traveled a great distance to find him, and one night, he sought shelter in a potter's shed. There, he found a monk already sitting in quiet meditation. They shared the small space in silence for many hours, two strangers resting in the cool darkness. Pukkasati was so impressed by the other monk's profound stillness and gentle presence that he struck up a conversation about the Dharma. He did not realize until much later that the monk he was talking to was the Buddha himself. The Buddha did not announce his title or demand recognition. He simply shared the space with such complete presence that the atmosphere of the shed was transformed. This story reminds us that our true power lies in the quality of our presence, not in our titles or the amount of information we can broadcast to the world. When we unplug from the constant stream of external validation, we begin to cultivate that same quiet dignity that Pukkasati sensed in the potter's shed. We stop trying to prove our worth to an invisible audience and start experiencing our worth in the simple act of being. It is like the way a mountain does not need to shout to be noticed. It just stands there, immovable and majestic, and the world is changed simply because it exists. We, too, can be that mountain for the people in our lives, providing a stable and peaceful refuge in a world that is constantly shifting. As we deepen this practice, we might find that our relationship with our own thoughts begins to change. We often treat our minds like a crowded marketplace where every thought is a merchant shouting for our attention. We feel obligated to browse every stall and listen to every sales pitch, even when the goods being offered are nothing but worry, judgment, or greed. Unplugging is the choice to step out of the market and sit on a quiet hill overlooking the city. From that distance, the shouts become a distant hum. We can see the thoughts coming and going, but we no longer feel the need to buy what they are selling. We realize that we are the sky, and the thoughts are just clouds passing through. A young monk once asked an elder how he could find peace when his mind was so full of desires and regrets. The elder pointed to a large stone sitting in the courtyard of the monastery and asked the young man if he thought the stone was heavy. The student replied that of course it was heavy. The elder smiled and said that it is only heavy if you pick it up. Our thoughts and our digital burdens are exactly like that stone. They only weigh us down when we choose to carry them. When we unplug, we are simply putting the stone down. We are giving our hands and our hearts a rest. We find that we can walk much faster and much further when we are not lugging around the weight of the entire world's opinions. This sense of lightness is a natural result of living a more deliberate life. When we are constantly connected, we are in a state of perpetual reaction. We react to an email, we react to a comment, we react to a headline. We are like a leaf being blown about by a gale, never staying in one place long enough to take root. But when we disconnect, we stop reacting and start responding. There is a vast difference between the two. Reaction is a knee-jerk impulse driven by the ego, while response is a conscious choice born from the heart. By creating a gap between the stimulus and our action, we reclaim our freedom. We become the masters of our own energy. There is a charming account of a village where the people were very skilled at making bells. They believed that the most beautiful bells were those that were cast in total silence. If someone spoke or even made a loud noise during the cooling process, they believed the bell would have a cracked and unpleasant tone. One year, a new apprentice joined the foundry and found it impossible to stay quiet. He was always humming or talking to himself. As a result, every bell he made sounded harsh and jarring. Finally, the master took him to a deep forest and told him to listen to the sound of the wind in the pines for 3 days. When the apprentice returned, he had a new understanding of silence. He realized that silence was not the absence of sound, but the foundation of it. The next bell he cast was the most beautiful the village had ever heard. Our lives are like those bells. If we do not allow for the cooling period of silence, our spirits become brittle and our voices become harsh. We lose the ability to speak with kindness and to listen with empathy. But when we allow ourselves to be tempered by the quiet, we develop a resonance that is both beautiful and strong. We find that we can face the challenges of life without breaking. We discover a depth of character that can only be forged in the stillness of our own company. This is why the Buddha often retreated to the forest, not to run away from people, but to deepen the peace he brought back to them. Many people fear that if they unplug, they will become lonely. But there is a profound difference between loneliness and solitude. Loneliness is a feeling of lack, a sense that we are incomplete without someone or something else. Solitude, on the other hand, is a feeling of abundance. It is the joy of being alone with ourselves and finding that we are excellent company. In solitude, we are not looking for someone to fill our emptiness, we are celebrating our own wholeness. We find that the more we enjoy our own presence, the more we can truly enjoy the presence of others. Our relationships stop being based on need and start being based on a genuine desire to share our happiness. Think of a small flame in a drafty room. It flickers and dances, always on the verge of going out because it is so influenced by every passing breeze. This is our attention when we are constantly plugged in. But if we place a glass chimney over the flame, it becomes steady and bright. It can light up the entire room because it is no longer being buffeted by the air. Unplugging is like that glass chimney. It protects our awareness from the drafts of modern life. It allows our inner light to shine with a steady and unwavering glow. We become a source of warmth and clarity for ourselves and for those around us. The Buddha's cousin, Tissa, was someone who struggled with his temper and his sense of self-importance. He often felt that he wasn't getting enough respect from the other monks. One day, the Buddha told him a story about a great elephant that lived in a forest. The elephant was so large and powerful that it could knock down trees and cross deep rivers. But even this elephant needed a quiet place to rest and bathe. If it stayed in the hot sun all day, its skin would become dry and cracked. If it stayed in the middle of a noisy herd, it would become agitated and aggressive. It was only in the seclusion of a cool pond that the elephant regained its strength and its calm. The Buddha was reminding Tissa that even the strongest among us needs the cooling waters of silence to remain balanced and healthy. We are like that elephant. No matter how much we achieve or how many responsibilities we have, we cannot survive on a diet of constant noise and heat. We need the cool ponds of our own inner world. We need to step away from the herd for a while to wash away the dust of the day. This is not a luxury, it is a necessity for our spiritual survival. When we ignore this need, we become irritable, anxious, and disconnected from our own hearts. But when we honor it, we return to our lives with a renewed sense of vigor and a clearer perspective on what truly matters. It is interesting to observe the physical sensations that arise when we decide to turn off our devices. At first, there might be a surge of anxiety, a feeling that we are missing something vital. Our heart rate might increase slightly, and our mind might race with a list of all the things we should be doing. But if we stay with that discomfort for just a few minutes, something wonderful happens. The anxiety begins to dissolve, replaced by a deep sense of relief. It is like the feeling of finally taking off a pair of shoes that are too tight. We realize that the world is still turning, even if we are not watching it. We realize that we are safe, even if we are not connected. A famous teacher once compared the human mind to a glass of water filled with sand. If you keep shaking the glass, the water remains murky and you cannot see through it. But if you set the glass down and leave it alone, the sand naturally settles to the bottom, and the water becomes crystal clear. Our constant connectivity is the shaking of the glass. It keeps our emotions and thoughts in a state of turbulence. Unplugging is the act of setting the glass down. We don't have to do anything to make the water clear. We just have to stop shaking it. The clarity is already there, waiting to reveal itself. This clarity allows us to see the interconnectedness of all things. When we are busy and distracted, we see the world as a collection of separate objects and people that we need to manage or compete with. We see ourselves as isolated islands in a vast ocean. But in the silence, we begin to feel the water that connects all the islands. We realize that our breath is the same air that the trees are breathing. We realize that the joy of our neighbor is our joy, and their sorrow is our sorrow. This is not an intellectual idea, but a lived experience. It is the birth of true compassion, a compassion that does not require any effort because it flows naturally from the realization of our oneness. There is a story of a weary merchant who was traveling through a desert with a large caravan of camels. He was so focused on reaching the next oasis that he didn't notice the beauty of the shifting dunes or the spectacular colors of the sunset. He spent all his time worrying about the water supply and the possibility of bandits. One night, he met a wandering ascetic who was sitting by a small fire. The merchant asked the ascetic how he could stay so calm in such a harsh environment. The ascetic replied that the desert was not his enemy, but his teacher. He said that the vast emptiness of the desert was a reflection of the vast emptiness within himself. In that emptiness, he found a peace that no oasis could ever provide. The merchant realized that he had been so busy trying to survive the desert that he had forgotten to actually live in it. We often treat our modern lives like that desert, something to be endured and survived until we reach some future goal. We are so focused on the next thing on our to-do list that we miss the miracle of the present moment. But when we unplug, we stop trying to get somewhere else and start being where we are. We find that the desert of our daily lives is actually filled with hidden treasures. We notice the beauty in the steam of a kettle, the sound of rain on the roof, and the gentle rhythm of our own breathing. We realize that the peace we have been searching for is not at the end of the journey, but in the very heart of it. This shift in perspective is like waking up from a long and complicated dream. In the dream, we were very busy and very important, but we were also very tired. When we wake up, we realize that most of the things we were worried about were just shadows. We feel a sense of lightness and a renewed appreciation for the simplicity of life. We see that we don't need much to be truly happy. We just need to be present. We just need to be awake. This wakefulness is the essence of the Buddha's teaching. The word Buddha itself means one who is awake. By unplugging, we are taking a small step toward our own awakening. Consider the story of a group of travelers who were crossing a high mountain pass. They were all carrying heavy packs, and they were exhausted by the thin air and the steep climb. One traveler decided to stop and rest for a moment. He took off his pack and sat on a rock, looking out over the valley below. He saw the clouds floating beneath him and the eagles soaring in the distance. He felt a sense of awe and wonder that made him forget his exhaustion. When he eventually put his pack back on and continued the climb, it felt much lighter. He realized that the weight was not in the pack, but in his own mind. He had been so focused on the struggle that he had forgotten the beauty of the mountain. When we are constantly plugged in, we are like those travelers, focused only on the struggle of our daily lives. We feel the weight of our responsibilities and the pressure of our expectations. But when we take the time to unplug and rest, we gain a new perspective. We see the larger landscape of our lives. We remember why we are on this journey in the first place. This doesn't make our responsibilities disappear, but it changes our relationship to them. We carry them with more grace and less resentment. We find that we have a reservoir of strength that we didn't know existed. The practice of silence is also a practice of deep listening. Most of the time, when we listen to someone, we are actually just waiting for our turn to speak. We are rehearsing our response or judging what they are saying. But in the silence, we learn to listen with our whole being. We listen not just to the words, but to the feelings behind the words. We listen to the pauses and the sighs. We listen to the unspoken needs of the other person. This kind of listening is a rare and precious gift. It makes the other person feel truly seen and understood. It creates a bridge of empathy that can cross even the widest divides. There was once a young girl who lived in a village near a great master. Everyone went to the master for advice, but the girl just liked to sit in his garden. One day, the master asked her why she never asked him any questions. The girl replied that she found the answers she needed in the way the wind moved the leaves and the way the shadows danced on the ground. She said that the master's silence was more helpful to her than anyone else's words. The master smiled and told her that she was already his best student. He knew that she had discovered the secret of direct experience, the ability to learn from life itself without the need for constant explanation or analysis. We often look for answers in books, on websites, and in the opinions of others. We think that if we just gather enough information, we will finally understand our lives. But the most important truths cannot be taught, they must be discovered. And they are discovered in the silence of our own hearts. When we unplug, we are making room for that discovery. We are creating the conditions where our own wisdom can rise to the surface. We stop being collectors of other people's ideas and start being the authors of our own understanding. This inner wisdom is like a compass that always points toward our true north. In the noise and confusion of the modern world, it is easy to lose our way. We get caught up in the desires and fears of the collective mind. We start living a life that is not our own. But in the quiet, we can hear the small, steady voice of our intuition. It tells us what is truly important and what is merely a distraction. It guides us toward the people and the experiences that will nourish our souls. By reconnecting with this inner compass, we gain a sense of direction and purpose that is not dependent on external circumstances. There is a story of a master who was asked how he managed to stay so happy even though he had very few possessions. He took the visitor to a nearby pond and told him to look at the reflection of the moon. The master said that the moon does not try to reflect itself in the pond, and the pond does not try to capture the moon. The reflection just happens because the moon is there and the pond is still. The master explained that his happiness was the same. He didn't try to be happy, and he didn't try to capture happiness. He just kept his mind still, and the joy of the universe naturally reflected itself in his heart. When we are constantly reaching for happiness through our connections and our achievements, we are like someone trying to catch a reflection in a net. The harder we try, the more we disturb the water, and the more the reflection disappears. But when we unplug and become still, we find that the happiness we were searching for is already here. It is a natural part of our being. It is the light of the moon reflected in the quiet pond of our awareness. We don't need to do anything to get it. We just need to be still enough to receive it. This stillness is not a state of passivity or dullness. It is a state of vibrant and alert awareness. It is the stillness of a cat waiting to pounce or a musician waiting for the right moment to play a note. It is a stillness that is full of potential. When we are truly still, we are more alive than ever before. We see the world with a freshness and a clarity that is breathtaking. Every moment becomes a miracle, and every experience becomes an opportunity for growth and discovery. This is the life that is waiting for us beneath the noise. It is also important to recognize that our digital habits are often a form of escape. We turn to our screens when we are bored, when we are lonely, or when we are feeling overwhelmed. We use the noise to drown out the voices of our own pain and our own longing. But the things we are running from do not disappear, they only grow stronger in the darkness of our avoidance. When we unplug, we are choosing to face our lives directly. We are sitting with our boredom, our loneliness, and our pain. We are giving them the attention they need to be healed. There is a powerful account of a monk who spent many years in a remote cave. People asked him if he ever got lonely or bored. He replied that he was far too busy to be lonely. He said that he was busy getting to know the most interesting person in the world, himself. He spent his days exploring the vast landscape of his own mind, uncovering the hidden caves of his fears and the high peaks of his joys. He found that his inner world was more diverse and exciting than any external landscape could ever be. He didn't need a screen to entertain him because he had discovered the infinite theater of his own consciousness. While we may not all be ready to live in a cave, we can all find small ways to explore our inner world. We can take a walk in nature without headphones. We can sit on a park bench and watch the world go by. We can spend a few minutes each morning just noticing the sensations in our bodies. These are the small acts of bravery that lead to a deep and lasting peace. They are the ways we prove to ourselves that we are not afraid of our own company. They are the ways we reclaim our lives from the kingdom of distraction. The digital world is designed to be addictive. It uses the same neural pathways as gambling and substance abuse. Every like, every notification, and every new piece of information triggers a small burst of dopamine in our brains. We become like lab rats pressing a lever for a reward. Unplugging is the process of breaking that cycle. It is the way we retrain our brains to find pleasure in simpler and more sustainable things. We find joy in the taste of an orange, the smell of the earth after a rain, and the warmth of a friend's hand. These are the rewards that truly nourish us, and they don't require a battery or an internet connection. A story is told of a man who was obsessed with finding the perfect melody. He traveled the world, listening to the songs of the birds, the sounds of the cities, and the music of the great masters. But nothing he heard was quite right. Finally, he gave up his search and went to live in a quiet valley. One morning, as he was sitting by a stream, he heard the sound of the water flowing over the rocks. He realized that the melody he had been looking for was right there, in the simple and natural sound of the world. He had been so busy looking for something extraordinary that he had missed the beauty of the ordinary. We are often looking for the perfect life in the digital world. We look at the curated photos of others and feel that our own lives are lacking. We look for the perfect relationship, the perfect job, and the perfect body. But the perfect life is not something we find, it is something we create by being present for the life we already have. It is found in the simple and ordinary moments that we so often overlook. It is found in the sound of our own breath and the beat of our own heart. When we unplug, we stop searching for the extraordinary and start experiencing the sacredness of the ordinary. This sacredness is always here, hidden in plain sight. It is in the way the light hits a glass of water, the way a child laughs, and the way an old man walks. It is in the silence between the words of a conversation. By being present, we become the witnesses to this sacredness. We see that every moment is a holy invitation to be alive. We realize that we don't need to go anywhere or do anything to find the divine. It is right here, in the very heart of our existence. The path of the Buddha is often called the path of middle way. It is the path of balance and harmony. In our modern world, this means finding the balance between our digital lives and our inner lives. It is not about becoming a hermit and rejecting technology, but about using it with wisdom and awareness. It is about knowing when to connect and when to disconnect. It is about being the master of our tools, rather than their servant. When we find this balance, we can enjoy the benefits of the modern world without losing the peace of our own souls. Think of a boat on a river. If the boat is too heavy, it will sink. If it is too light, it will be blown off course by the wind. The boat needs the right amount of weight to stay balanced and to move efficiently through the water. Our lives are like that boat. Our connections and our activities are the weight. We need some of them to move through life, but if we have too many, we will be overwhelmed. We need to find that perfect balance that allows us to stay afloat and to move with grace. As we continue to walk this path of mindful connection, we might find that our sense of time begins to change. In the digital world, time is fragmented and compressed. We move from one thing to the next with lightning speed. But in the natural world, time is continuous and expansive. The seasons change slowly, the trees grow gradually, and the tides rise and fall with a majestic rhythm. When we unplug, we align ourselves with this natural rhythm. We stop feeling like we are constantly running out of time and start feeling like we have all the time in the world. We find that we have time to be patient, time to be kind, and time to be truly present. A story is told of a young man who was in a great hurry to reach a distant city. He galloped his horse as fast as he could, never stopping to rest or to look around. He passed an old man sitting by the side of the road and shouted out, asking how much further it was to the city. The old man replied that if he continued at that speed, he would never arrive. The young man was confused and kept riding. But eventually, his horse became exhausted and collapsed. The young man was forced to walk the rest of the way. As he walked, he noticed the beauty of the flowers and the sweetness of the air. He realized that the old man was right. By being in such a hurry, he had missed the journey, and his haste had actually delayed his arrival. Most of us are in a hurry to get to the next thing, thinking that happiness is always just around the corner. We gallop through our lives, constantly checking our devices to see if we have arrived yet. But the secret is that there is nowhere to get to. We are already here. The city we are looking for is right where we are standing. When we unplug and slow down, we finally arrive. We see that the journey itself is the destination. We find the peace and the happiness we were looking for in the very act of walking. This realization brings a deep sense of contentment. We stop feeling the need to constantly improve ourselves or our circumstances. We accept ourselves as we are, with all our flaws and all our beauty. We accept our lives as they are, with all their challenges and all their blessings. This acceptance is not a form of resignation, but a form of empowerment. It is the foundation of a true and lasting peace. It allows us to move through the world with a sense of ease and a sense of joy. The practice of unplugging is a way of honoring our own humanity. It is a way of saying that we are more than just consumers of information or producers of content. We are living, breathing beings with a deep need for silence, for nature, and for genuine connection. By choosing to disconnect from the digital world, we are reconnecting with the real world. We are reclaiming our right to a peaceful and meaningful life. We are coming home to ourselves. There is a beautiful ancient poem that speaks of the joy of sitting quietly in a mountain hut while the rain falls outside. The poet speaks of the simple pleasure of a warm fire and a cup of tea. He says that in those moments of solitude, the whole world feels like a friend. This is the gift of unplugging. It allows us to find that mountain hut within ourselves, a place where we are always safe and always at home. It allows us to experience the world with a sense of friendship and wonder. As we move through our days, let us look for those moments of mountain hut peace. Let us look for the opportunities to turn off the noise and to turn toward the silence. Let us be mindful of our digital habits and intentional with our attention. Let us choose the path of presence and the path of peace. And as we do, let us remember that the most important connection we will ever have is the one we have with our own soul. This connection is the source of all our strength and all our wisdom. It is the place where we find our true identity and our true purpose. It is the place where we find the love that has no conditions and the peace that has no end. By unplugging to reconnect, we are opening the door to this inner sanctuary. We are allowing ourselves to be healed, to be nourished, and to be transformed. Imagine a life where you are not constantly tethered to a screen, but deeply rooted in the present moment. Imagine a life where you are not driven by the demands of the digital world, but guided by the wisdom of your own heart. Imagine a life where you feel a genuine connection to yourself, to others, and to the natural world. This is not a distant dream, it is a possibility that is available to you right now. It begins with the simple act of choosing to be present. It begins with the decision to unplug and to listen. There was a story of a great king who was always worried about his kingdom. He spent all his time meeting with advisors and reading reports. He was exhausted and unhappy. One day, he met a simple shepherd who was sitting on a hillside, watching his sheep. The king asked the shepherd how he could be so happy when he had so little. The shepherd replied that he had everything he needed. He had the sky above him, the earth beneath him, and the peace in his heart. The king realized that his own worries were a prison of his own making. He decided to spend 1 hour each day sitting on that same hillside, in silence. Gradually, his worries began to dissolve, and he became a much wiser and more compassionate king. We are all kings and queens of our own lives, but we often live like prisoners of our own distractions. We spend our time worrying about things that don't truly matter and ignoring the things that do. But we can choose to be like that shepherd. We can choose to spend time in silence, watching the sheep of our own thoughts. We can find the peace that is always here, waiting for us. We can become the wise and compassionate masters of our own experience. The journey of reconnecting with our inner world is not a straight line. There will be days when it feels easy and days when it feels almost impossible. There will be moments of profound clarity and moments of deep confusion. But every step we take toward the silence is a step in the right direction. Every time we choose to unplug, we are strengthening our capacity for peace. We are building a foundation of resilience that will sustain us through all the ups and downs of life. A young woman once asked a master how she could maintain her inner peace when her life was so chaotic. The master told her to think of herself as a deep ocean. On the surface, there may be storms and waves, but deep down, the water is always calm and still. He said that she should not try to stop the waves, but to identify with the depths. When she stayed connected to her own depth, the waves on the surface no longer bothered her. They were just part of the natural movement of life. Unplugging is the way we dive into those depths. It is the way we find the part of ourselves that is always calm and always still. It is the way we learn to stay centered, no matter what is happening on the surface of our lives. When we identify with our depth, we are no longer victims of our circumstances. We are the masters of our own peace. We move through the world with a sense of stability and grace that is truly inspiring. The digital world is a powerful tool, but it is not our home. Our home is in the present moment. Our home is in the natural world. Our home is in the silence of our own hearts. By unplugging, we are returning home. We are reclaiming our true place in the universe. We are remembering who we are. Think of a bird that has been kept in a cage for its whole life. It has forgotten how to fly and how to sing its own song. But one day, the cage door is left open. At first, the bird is afraid to leave. It is used to the safety of the bars. But eventually, it takes a small step out, and then another. It feels the wind on its wings and remembers its true nature. It takes flight and begins to sing a song of pure joy. Most of us have been living in the cage of our own distractions for a long time. We have forgotten how to be truly free and how to sing our own unique song. But the door to the cage is already open. We just need to find the courage to step out. We just need to choose the silence over the noise. When we do, we will find that we have wings we never knew existed. We will find that we are capable of a beauty and a joy that we never thought possible. This is the promise of the path we are walking together. It is a path of freedom, a path of peace, and a path of genuine connection. It is the path of returning to our true selves. Let us continue this walk with hearts full of hope and minds full of awareness. Let us support each other as we navigate the challenges and celebrate the discoveries. Let us be patient with ourselves and with the process. And let us always remember that the most important thing is to simply be here, right now, in the silence and the light of our own being. Every breath we take in silence is a declaration of our freedom. Every moment we spend in presence is a victory over the forces of distraction. Every time we choose to unplug, we are making a commitment to our own well-being and to the well-being of the world. We are part of a growing movement of people who are choosing a more conscious and meaningful way of life. We are the pioneers of a new way of being human. As we move toward the next horizon of our journey, let us carry the peace we have found within us. Let it be the light that guides our path and the warmth that fills our hearts. Let it be the source of our kindness and the foundation of our strength. We are not just changing our own lives, we are changing the world, one mindful moment at a time. The silence is our strength, and the present moment is our home. Let us live there with joy and with grace. Think of a garden that has been neglected for many years. It is overgrown with weeds and brambles, and the paths are hidden beneath the debris. But beneath the surface, the soil is still rich and the seeds of beautiful flowers are still waiting to grow. All the garden needs is someone to clear away the mess and to give it the care it deserves. Our inner world is like that garden. It might be cluttered with the weeds of distraction and the debris of modern life, but its potential for beauty is still there. By unplugging, we are becoming the gardeners of our own souls. We are clearing away the weeds and making room for the flowers of peace, joy, and wisdom to bloom. We are tending to our inner landscape with patience and with love. And as we do, we find that our lives become more beautiful and more meaningful than we ever imagined. We find that we are surrounded by a fragrance of peace that stays with us wherever we go. This is the true reward of our efforts. It is not something we achieve once and then forget. It is a continuous process of growth and discovery. It is a life lived in harmony with our true nature. It is a life lived in the light of the present moment. Let us continue to tend to our inner garden with care and with devotion. Let us enjoy the beauty of the flowers and the peace of the paths. We are home, and all is well. In the quiet of our own being, we find the answers to all our questions. We find the healing for all our wounds. We find the love that we have always been searching for. Everything we need is already here, within us. We just need to be still enough to hear it. We just need to be quiet enough to feel it. We just need to be present enough to experience it. As the sun sets on the day and the world begins to quiet down, let us take a moment to appreciate the silence. Let it be a reminder of the peace that is always available to us. Let it be a sanctuary for our souls. We are not alone in the silence, we are connected to the very heart of the universe. We are part of the great and mysterious dance of life. And in that realization, we find a peace that passes all understanding. May your journey be filled with light and with love. May you find the strength to unplug and the wisdom to reconnect. May you always know the beauty of your own soul and the peace of your own heart. You are a miracle of existence, and you are exactly where you deserve to be. As we rest in the silence of our own being, we feel a deep sense of gratitude for this life. We are grateful for the challenges that help us grow and for the blessings that fill our hearts. We are grateful for the connection we share with others and for the solitude that nourishes our souls. We are grateful for the opportunity to wake up each day and to live with presence and with purpose. This gratitude is the ultimate form of reconnection. It is the realization that everything in our lives is a gift. It is the understanding that even the most difficult moments are opportunities for learning and for transformation. When we live with gratitude, we are always connected to the source of all that is good and true. We move through the world with a sense of wonder and a sense of joy. So, let us carry this gratitude with us as we move forward. Let it be the song that we sing in the silence and the light that we shine in the darkness. We are the authors of our own peace, and the creators of our own happiness. We are unplugged from the noise, and reconnected to the truth. We are home, and all is well. The journey continues, and every moment is a new beginning. Let us embrace each moment with an open heart and a clear mind. Let us live our lives with grace and with dignity. Let us be the presence that the world so desperately needs. We are ready, we are whole, and we are free. Consider the way a master weaver approaches their loom, focusing not on the speed of the shuttle but on the integrity of every single thread. When we are constantly tethered to the digital world, we are often weaving with frayed edges, our attention scattered across 1,000 different directions. But when we choose to step away, we are gathering those loose threads and pulling them back into the center. We begin to see the intricate patterns of our own character, the subtle shades of our patience, and the strength of our resilience. This focus is not about exclusion, but about the profound quality of our engagement with the fabric of reality. We learn that a life lived with depth is far more satisfying than a life lived with breadth, and that the quietest moments often hold the most vibrant colors. There is an ancient story about a royal gardener who was tasked with maintaining a garden that was said to reflect the state of the king's soul. For many years, the gardener worked tirelessly, planting exotic flowers and building elaborate fountains, yet the king remained restless and dissatisfied. One day, the gardener stopped all his labor and simply sat on a wooden bench, watching the way the sunlight filtered through the leaves of an old oak tree. He noticed the small insects moving through the grass and the way the shadows lengthened as the afternoon faded. When the king visited that day, he felt a peace he had never known. He realized that the beauty of the garden did not come from the things that were added to it, but from the space that was allowed to exist between them. The king learned that his own soul needed that same space, a clearing where nothing was expected and nothing was demanded. We often treat our minds like that garden, thinking we must constantly plant new information, new goals, and new desires to be successful. We fear the empty space, viewing it as a sign of stagnation or boredom. But it is in the empty space that the soul finds its rhythm. When we unplug, we are not losing time, we are creating the sanctuary where true growth occurs. We are giving the soil of our consciousness a chance to rest and replenish itself. This is the secret of the seasons that the modern world tries so hard to ignore. Just as the earth needs the stillness of winter to prepare for the blossoms of spring, our inner world needs periods of inactivity to maintain its vitality and its joy. A wandering monk was once asked by a curious villager how he could remain so cheerful while owning absolutely nothing. The monk pointed to the sky and asked the villager who owned the clouds. He pointed to the river and asked who owned the water. The villager replied that these things belonged to everyone and to no one. The monk smiled and said that his heart was like the sky and the river. Because he had stopped trying to grab and hold on to things, the whole world became his home. He explained that our digital devices often create a false sense of ownership, making us feel that we must possess every piece of news and every image we see. By letting go of the need to possess, we find a freedom that no amount of data can provide. We realize that the most precious things in life are those that can never be bought, sold, or downloaded. This sense of non-attachment is a powerful antidote to the anxiety of the modern age. We are constantly told that we need more to be more, but the wisdom of the ages tells us that we actually need less to be truly ourselves. When we disconnect from the cycle of craving and consumption, we rediscover the joy of simplicity. We find that a walk in the woods is more refreshing than a new app, and a conversation with a friend is more fulfilling than 100 likes. We start to value quality over quantity, and meaning over movement. This shift in values is like clearing away the fog from a mirror. We finally see the world as it is, not as we want it to be or as we are told it should be. It is helpful to think of our energy as a finite resource, like a well of clear water. Every time we check a notification or engage in a digital argument, we are taking a bucket of water from that well. If we do this all day long, the well eventually runs dry, leaving us feeling brittle and empty. Unplugging is the process of allowing the well to refill. It is a slow and quiet process, happening beneath the surface where no one can see. We sit in silence, we breathe deeply, and we feel the water rising once again. By the time we return to our tasks, we are acting from a place of abundance rather than exhaustion. We have more to give because we have taken the time to receive. There was a student who complained to his teacher that the world was too loud and that he could not find a quiet place to meditate. The teacher took him to the middle of a busy marketplace and told him to close his eyes and listen only to the sound of his own heartbeat. At first, the student could hear nothing but the shouting of the merchants and the clatter of carts. But as he focused his attention inward, the external noise began to recede into the background. He found that the rhythm of his heart was a constant and steady drum, a sanctuary of sound that was always with him. The teacher explained that the world will always be loud, but the silence we seek is not found by changing our location. It is found by changing the direction of our listening. We can apply this lesson to our digital lives. We cannot always control the flow of information or the demands of our schedules, but we can control where we place our focus. By turning our attention away from the screens and toward the quiet pulse of our own existence, we find a refuge that is independent of our circumstances. We realize that we carry our own peace with us, like a hidden gem tucked away in a pocket. We don't need the world to be quiet for us to be still. We just need to remember where our true center lies. This internal silence is the ultimate form of reconnection, a bridge that links our individual soul to the universal consciousness. Many people find that their creativity flourishes when they are disconnected from the noise. Our minds are like a radio that is constantly tuned to a station playing other people's music. We hear their opinions, their stories, and their ideas, until we forget the melody of our own song. But when we turn off the radio, we finally hear the music that is playing within us. We find that we have our own unique perspective, our own way of seeing the world, and our own voice. This is the source of all true art and all genuine innovation. It comes from the depths of our own being, from the place where we are most alone and most connected. Think of a sculptor working with a piece of marble. They do not add anything to the stone, they only take away the parts that are not the statue. Our spiritual journey is much like that. We are not trying to become something better or something different. We are trying to remove the layers of distraction, the habits of reaction, and the noise of the world that hide our true nature. Unplugging is the chisel that we use to reveal the masterpiece within. We chip away at the constant checking of messages and the endless scrolling of feeds, until the clarity of our own spirit begins to emerge. We find that we are already beautiful, already wise, and already enough. A story is told of a young man who was tasked with carrying a lamp through a dark forest. He was so worried about the light going out that he kept his eyes fixed on the flame, never looking at the path ahead. As a result, he tripped over roots and stones, and he lost his way. An old traveler met him and advised him to look at the path, not the flame. The traveler said that the flame was there to light the way, not to be the destination. Our technology is much like that lamp. It is a tool meant to illuminate our lives, to help us connect with others and to share information. But when we become obsessed with the tool itself, we lose sight of the journey. We forget that the purpose of connection is to enhance our lives, not to replace them. By stepping back, we regain our sense of perspective. We see the lamp for what it is and the path for what it is. We learn to use our devices with intention, rather than being used by them. We decide when to turn the light on and when to let the natural darkness of the night settle around us. This mastery gives us a sense of dignity and self-respect. We are no longer at the mercy of every buzz and chime. We are the architects of our own experience, choosing the moments that deserve our full attention and those that do not. This discernment is a vital part of a mature and meaningful life. The natural world has a way of healing the soul that no digital experience can replicate. There is a specific frequency to the sound of wind in the trees and the movement of water over stones that speaks directly to our nervous system. It reminds us that we are biological beings, rooted in the earth and governed by the laws of nature. When we unplug and spend time in the presence of trees and mountains, we feel a deep sense of belonging. We realize that we are not separate from the environment, but a part of a vast and beautiful ecology. This connection grounds us in a way that the internet never can. It provides a sense of stability and continuity that transcends the fleeting trends of the digital age. A monk once spent 40 days sitting by a waterfall, not speaking a word to anyone. When he finally returned to his village, his friends asked him what he had learned. He replied that he had learned that the waterfall never repeats itself. Every drop of water, every splash, and every sound was unique and would never happen again. He realized that life is exactly the same. Every breath we take and every moment we experience is a one-time event. When we are distracted by our screens, we are missing the unique beauty of the present. We are trading the living reality for a digital ghost. The monk's realization is a call to wake up to the preciousness of our own lives. We often feel that we must be productive every second of the day, as if our worth is determined by our output. But nature shows us a different way. A tree is productive even when it is standing perfectly still. It is producing oxygen, providing shade, and housing birds. Its very existence is a contribution. We, too, can be productive in our stillness. When we are peaceful, we are radiating that peace to everyone around us. When we are present, we are offering the gift of our attention to the world. This passive productivity is often more valuable than the frantic activity we are so accustomed to. It is the productivity of being, rather than the productivity of doing. As we become more comfortable with the silence, we might find that our relationship with other people changes. We stop needing them to entertain us or to validate us. We start seeing them as they truly are, with their own struggles and their own joys. We develop a deeper sense of empathy and a more genuine compassion. Because we have taken the time to be with ourselves, we are better equipped to be with others. We bring a sense of calm and a sense of presence to our interactions that is deeply healing. Our conversations become more meaningful, and our relationships become more authentic. There is a story of a great teacher who was known for his ability to solve any conflict. Two neighbors who were having a bitter dispute went to see him, hoping he would tell them who was right. The teacher invited them to sit in silence with him for 1 hour before they spoke. After the hour was over, the two neighbors looked at each other and realized that their argument was trivial. The silence had washed away their anger and their pride. They shook hands and went home without saying a single word to the teacher. This is the power of silence. It has the ability to resolve what words can only complicate. It touches the part of us that is beyond ego and beyond conflict. By cultivating this inner silence, we become the peacemakers in our own lives. We stop fueling the fires of drama and resentment. We learn to let go of the need to have the last word or to be right. We find that there is more power in a gentle smile than in a loud argument. This inner peace is contagious. It influences our families, our workplaces, and our communities. It is a quiet revolution that starts in the heart of a single individual who chooses to unplug and reconnect. We become a source of stability in a world that is often chaotic and divided. It is also important to recognize the role of humor in our spiritual journey. When we take ourselves too seriously, we become rigid and brittle. But when we can laugh at our own mistakes and our own habits, we become more flexible and more human. We can laugh at the way we feel a phantom vibration in our pocket even when our phone is in another room. We can laugh at the way we feel a surge of pride when a post gets a lot of likes. This laughter is a sign of detachment. It means we are no longer gripped by the ego's need for importance. It allows us to move through the world with a certain lightness of being. There was a Zen master who was known for his playful spirit. One day, a student asked him what the most important thing in life was. The master pointed to a butterfly fluttering in the garden and said that the most important thing was to not catch it. He explained that as soon as we catch the butterfly, we lose its beauty and its life. Our moments of peace are like that butterfly. If we try to grasp them and turn them into a digital memory, we lose the experience itself. We must learn to enjoy the beauty of the moment without trying to capture it. We must learn to let it flutter away, knowing that another beautiful moment will take its place. This ability to let go is the key to a happy life. We are often like children at a beach, trying to build sandcastles that will last forever. We get upset when the tide comes in and washes them away. But the wise person enjoys the building of the sandcastle, knowing that it is temporary. They are not attached to the result, they are engaged in the process. When we unplug, we are practicing this art of letting go. We are letting go of the need to document every experience and to share every thought. We are allowing our lives to be private, mysterious, and fleeting. This gives our experiences a depth and a sacredness that can never be found on a screen. As we navigate this landscape of the soul, we might encounter periods of doubt or frustration. We might feel that we are not making progress or that the noise of the world is too loud. In those moments, it is helpful to remember the story of the bamboo tree. For the first 4 years of its life, the bamboo tree shows no growth above the ground. But during those 4 years, it is growing an extensive and strong root system beneath the surface. In the 5th year, it grows 80 feet in just 6 weeks. Our spiritual practice is often like that. Even when we don't see any outward signs of change, we are building the internal roots of peace and resilience. The time we spend in silence is never wasted. It is the invisible work that makes the visible growth possible. Every time we choose to sit in silence instead of reaching for a device, we are strengthening those roots. We are becoming more grounded, more stable, and more connected to our own center. We are preparing ourselves for the storms of life, so that when they come, we will not be easily shaken. This internal strength is the greatest gift we can give to ourselves and to those we love. It is a reservoir of peace that we can draw from whenever we need it. It is a sanctuary that no external force can destroy. Think of a pilot navigating through a thick fog. They cannot see the ground or the horizon, but they have instruments in the cockpit that tell them where they are. These instruments are like our inner wisdom and our mindfulness. Even when the world feels confusing and the path is not clear, we have these internal guides to keep us on track. By unplugging, we are learning to trust these instruments. We are developing the ability to navigate through the fog of the modern world with confidence and grace. We are learning to stay centered, even when we don't know exactly where we are going. This trust is not a blind faith, but a deep and experiential knowledge. It comes from the moments when we have sat in silence and felt a sense of peace that was beyond explanation. It comes from the moments when we have acted from a place of compassion and felt a sense of fulfillment that was beyond words. These experiences are the proof that our inner world is real and that it is a source of infinite wisdom and love. They are the anchors that keep us steady in a world that is constantly changing. There is a beautiful ancient account of a king who wanted to understand the secret of happiness. He sought out a wise sage who lived in a small hut on the edge of a great forest. The sage told the king that happiness is like a bird that sits on your shoulder. If you try to grab it, it will fly away. But if you sit very still and very quiet, it will stay with you forever. The king spent 3 days in silence with the sage, and when he returned to his palace, he was a changed man. He no longer chased after pleasures and titles. He simply practiced the art of being still, and the bird of happiness never left his shoulder. We are all kings and queens of our own lives, and we all have the potential to find this inner happiness. It does not require us to change our circumstances or to acquire new things. It only requires us to be still and quiet. It requires us to unplug from the constant demands of the world and to reconnect with the source of our own being. This is a journey that is available to everyone, regardless of their age, their background, or their status. It is the birthright of every human being. As we move through our days, let us look for the small opportunities to practice this stillness. Let us take a few minutes between tasks to just breathe. Let us eat our meals without distraction. Let us walk from our car to our office with full awareness of each step. These small acts of mindfulness are like drops of water falling on a stone. Over time, they have the power to change the shape of our lives. They turn a life of reaction into a life of intention. They turn a life of noise into a life of music. It is also helpful to create a physical space in our homes that is dedicated to silence. It doesn't need to be a whole room, it can be just a chair or a corner of a garden. This space becomes a visual reminder of our commitment to our inner world. When we sit in that space, we are signaling to ourselves and to the world that our peace is a priority. We are creating a boundary between the external world and our internal world. This boundary is not a wall, but a gateway. It is the place where we leave behind the roles and the responsibilities of the world and step into our true selves. In the ancient times, people would often go on pilgrimages to sacred places to find a sense of peace and connection. But the ultimate pilgrimage is the one that leads inward. It is the journey to the center of our own hearts. By unplugging, we are embarking on this sacred journey every single day. We are traveling to the place where the human and the divine meet. We are discovering that the most sacred place in the world is not a distant temple or a high mountain, but the silence within us. There is a story of a weary traveler who was looking for a place to rest. He came across a large and beautiful house and knocked on the door. A servant answered and told him that the master was away, but the traveler was welcome to stay in the guest house. The traveler spent many nights in the guest house, but he was never quite comfortable. One day, he found a small, hidden door that led to the main part of the house. Inside, he found a room that was filled with light and warmth. He realized that he had been staying in the guest house while the main house was his all along. He had only needed to find the hidden door. Our digital lives are like the guest house. They are a place where we spend a lot of time, but they are not our true home. Our true home is the main house, the spacious and light-filled room of our own awareness. By unplugging, we are finding the hidden door. We are moving from the temporary and the superficial into the permanent and the profound. We are realizing that we have been living in a small part of ourselves while the vast majority of our potential was waiting to be discovered. This discovery is a joyful and liberating experience. It gives our lives a sense of meaning and purpose that is not dependent on external success. We find that we are part of something much larger than ourselves, a vast and interconnected web of life. We see the beauty in every face and the sacredness in every moment. We become the authors of our own peace and the architects of our own happiness. We are no longer searching for the meaning of life, we are living it. As we continue on this path, let us be gentle with ourselves. Let us acknowledge that the habit of connection is strong and that it takes time to change. Let us celebrate the small victories and learn from the challenges. Let us move with a sense of curiosity and a sense of wonder. The journey inward is the greatest adventure we will ever take. It is a journey that leads to the very heart of what it means to be human. It is a journey home. Think of a vast ocean that is always moving. On the surface, there are waves of all sizes, some small and gentle, others large and powerful. These waves are like the events and the emotions of our lives. We often get caught up in the drama of the waves, fearing the big ones and chasing the small ones. But the ocean is more than just the waves. Beneath the surface, there is a deep and quiet stillness that is always there, no matter how turbulent the surface might be. By unplugging, we are diving into that stillness. We are remembering that we are the ocean, not just the waves. This shift in identity is the essence of spiritual maturity. It allows us to move through the world with a sense of equanimity and poise. We can experience the joys and the sorrows of life without being swept away by them. We can be involved in the world without being of the world. This is the state of the liberated soul, the soul that has found its home in the silence. It is a state of perfect balance and perfect peace. So, let us take another deep breath and feel the ground beneath us. Let us acknowledge the light within us and the beauty around us. Let us move forward with a sense of peace and purpose, knowing that we have everything we need right here. The path is clear, and the destination is home. We are unplugged, and we are reconnected. We are whole, and we are free. May this peace stay with you, in every breath and in every moment, as you continue your journey through the landscape of your own beautiful life. There is a subtle, almost invisible rhythm that governs the natural world, a cadence that does not require a clock or a digital calendar to maintain its grace. When we observe a forest, we do not see the trees competing for the fastest growth or the flowers worrying about their visibility in the undergrowth. They exist in a state of quiet cooperation, deeply attuned to the invisible signals of the earth and the sky. In our modern existence, we have largely replaced this organic timing with a frantic, artificial speed that leaves our souls breathless. We feel a strange pressure to be instantaneous in our responses, as if the value of our thoughts is measured by how quickly they are transmitted. But by choosing to disconnect from this relentless pace, we begin to rediscover the dignity of slow ripening. We allow our ideas to sit in the quiet for a while, gathering substance and clarity before they are ever voiced. Imagine a master potter who spends years perfecting the touch of their hands on the revolving clay. One day, a wealthy merchant came to him and offered a great sum of money if the potter could produce 100 vases in a single week. The potter looked at the merchant and gently shook his head, explaining that the clay has its own memory and its own speed. He said that if he forced the clay to move faster than it was ready to go, the vase might look perfect on the outside, but it would have no spirit, no soul, and it would eventually crack under the slightest pressure. The potter chose the integrity of the single, slow-formed vessel over the hollow success of many. Our lives are the clay, and our constant digital multitasking is the force that threatens to crack our inner structure. When we unplug, we are giving ourselves the permission to be slow, to be deliberate, and to be whole. This return to a natural pace allows us to notice the intricate layers of our own emotional landscape that are usually blurred by speed. We often treat our feelings like a news feed, scrolling past them quickly to get to the next piece of information. We don't sit with our sadness long enough to hear what it is trying to teach us, and we don't linger in our joy long enough for it to nourish ourselves. By creating a deliberate gap in our connectivity, we are inviting these emotions to come forward and speak. We find that beneath the surface of our busy minds, there is a deep well of intuition that has been trying to guide us all along. We realize that most of our anxiety is simply the friction caused by trying to live faster than our hearts were designed to beat. There is an old story of a young monk who was obsessed with cleanliness. He spent every waking hour sweeping the monastery courtyard, making sure not a single leaf remained on the stone. He was so focused on the task that he became irritable whenever a breeze blew or a bird landed, seeing them as enemies of his perfection. One day, his teacher walked into the courtyard and tossed a handful of dry leaves back onto the pristine ground. The teacher smiled and said that a courtyard that is too clean has no life, no soul. He explained that the beauty lies in the interaction between the effort of the broom and the spontaneity of the wind. Our digital lives are often like that monk's courtyard, an attempt to curate a perfect, leaf-free image of ourselves where every pixel is controlled. Unplugging is the act of letting the leaves fall where they may. It is an embrace of the messy, unpredictable, and beautiful reality of being human. In this space of non-control, we find a different kind of strength. We usually equate power with the ability to influence, to command, and to be seen. But there is a more profound power in the ability to be still and to be overlooked. The Buddha often spoke of the earth as a model for this kind of equanimity. People throw beautiful things on the earth, and they throw filthy things on the earth, yet the earth receives it all without pride or resentment. It remains firm and supportive, regardless of what happens on its surface. When we disconnect from the need for digital approval, we are developing this earthly stability. We are no longer shaken by a lack of attention or inflated by a moment of fame. We find our value in our capacity to remain centered and kind, regardless of the fluctuating winds of public opinion. Think of the way a musician uses a rest in a piece of music. The silence is not a hole in the song, it is a structural element that gives the notes their meaning and their emotional weight. Without the rest, the music would be nothing but a wall of overwhelming sound. Our lives have become a song without rests, a continuous stream of noise that leaves no room for reflection. By intentionally unplugging, we are inserting those necessary rests back into our personal symphony. We are allowing the previous notes to resonate and the upcoming notes to be anticipated. This makes our lives more lyrical, more intentional, and infinitely more beautiful. We start to hear the harmony that was always there, hidden behind the clutter of our constant activity. A story is told of an ancient traveler who was crossing a vast desert. He carried a compass that had been passed down through generations of his family. One night, a fierce sandstorm blew in, and he was tempted to keep looking at the compass to ensure he wasn't drifting off course. But the wind was so strong and the sand so thick that he couldn't see the needle. He decided to sit down, wrap himself in his cloak, and simply wait. He listened to the howling wind and felt the sand piling up around him. When the storm finally passed and the air cleared, he looked at his compass and realized that the needle hadn't moved at all. The storm was temporary, but the magnetic north was permanent. Our internal wisdom is that magnetic north. The digital noise and the social pressures are the sandstorm. When we unplug and wait in the stillness, we find that our direction hasn't been lost, it was merely obscured. This realization brings a profound sense of relief. We stop feeling like we have to constantly reinvent ourselves or find new paths to happiness. We realize that the path is already there, beneath the layers of temporary confusion. We begin to trust our own internal guidance more than the external maps provided by the world. This self-trust is the foundation of true maturity. It allows us to make decisions that are aligned with our deepest values, rather than our passing impulses. We become more consistent, more reliable, and more at peace with the choices we make. We find that the more we listen to the silence, the more clearly we hear the truth. There is a unique quality to the light that exists in the moments of true presence. It is a light that doesn't just illuminate the outside of things, but seems to shine through them. When we are not distracted by a screen, we might notice the way the light catches the dew on a spider's web, or the way it softens the edges of a loved one's face as they speak. We start to see the world in high definition, not the kind provided by a pixel count, but the kind provided by a focused and loving heart. We realize that the most beautiful sights are those that can never be captured by a camera. They are the moments of connection and wonder that exist only in the temporary and the immediate. By being present, we are the only ones who can truly witness these miracles. Think of a lake in the early morning. If the air is still, the surface of the water acts as a perfect mirror, reflecting the trees, the mountains, and the sky with such clarity that it is hard to tell where the reflection ends and the reality begins. But even the smallest pebble thrown into the lake creates ripples that distort the image. Our digital interactions are like a constant rain of pebbles on the lake of our mind. We are so used to the ripples that we have forgotten what the reflection of the sky looks like. Unplugging is the act of stopping the pebbles. We wait for the water to become still again. And in that stillness, we see the vastness of the universe reflected within ourselves. We realize that we are not just a small, isolated body, but a part of a magnificent and infinite whole. The Buddha once encountered a man who was so focused on his own suffering that he couldn't see anything else. The man was like someone carrying a heavy umbrella in the middle of a beautiful sunny day, complaining that he couldn't see the sky. The Buddha didn't try to take the umbrella away by force. Instead, he simply invited the man to notice the warmth of the sun on his hands and the beauty of the flowers at his feet. Slowly, the man realized that he was the one holding the umbrella. He chose to fold it up and set it aside, and in that moment, the whole world opened up to him. Our digital habits are often like that umbrella. We use them to protect ourselves from boredom, from loneliness, and from the unpredictability of life. But in doing so, we are also blocking out the very light and connection we crave. When we unplug, we are folding up the umbrella. We are allowing ourselves to be exposed to the world as it is. We might feel a bit vulnerable at first, but we also feel the warmth and the light. We realize that the things we were trying to protect ourselves from are not nearly as scary as we thought. Boredom is just a gateway to creativity. Loneliness is just an invitation to find companionship within ourselves. And the unpredictability of life is the very source of its magic. By being open and present, we find a sense of wonder that makes the umbrella unnecessary. We find that we are perfectly capable of navigating the world with our eyes and our hearts wide open. This openness leads to a deep and genuine humility. We realize how much we don't know and how much we have yet to learn. We stop trying to be the experts of everyone else's lives and start becoming the humble observers of our own. We find that there is more wisdom in a single moment of quiet observation than in 1,000 hours of online research. We start to value the lessons that come from the natural world, from our children, and from the simple experiences of our daily lives. This humility is not a sign of weakness, but a sign of great strength. It allows us to be teachable, to be flexible, and to be truly connected to the reality of the present. There is a story of an ancient king who wanted to build the most magnificent palace in the world. He hired the best architects and used the most expensive materials. But when it was finished, he felt that something was missing. He sent for a wise sage and asked for his advice. The sage walked through the palace and then pointed to the large, open windows. He said that the most beautiful part of the palace was the view of the mountains and the sea that the windows provided. He told the king that if he closed the windows, the palace would be nothing but a beautiful prison. Our minds are like that palace, and our awareness is the window. When we are constantly plugged in, we are closing the windows and focusing only on the interior of our own thoughts and the digital walls we have built. Unplugging is the act of opening the windows and remembering the vast and beautiful world that exists outside of our own making. By looking out the window, we regain our sense of proportion. We see that our personal dramas and our digital concerns are small compared to the majesty of the ocean and the permanence of the mountains. This doesn't make our lives less important, but it makes them more peaceful. We stop feeling like the world is resting on our shoulders and start feeling like we are resting in the arms of the world. We find a sense of belonging that is not dependent on our achievements or our status. We are simply a part of the great and mysterious unfolding of life, and that is more than enough. This perspective is a powerful antidote to the stress and the pressure of the modern age. Consider the way a seed grows in the dark earth. It doesn't have a screen to check its progress or a community to give it likes. It just stays in the quiet and the dark, absorbing the nutrients and the moisture it needs. It trusts the process of growth, even when nothing seems to be happening on the surface. When the time is right, it pushes through the soil and reaches for the sun. Our inner growth is much the same. It requires periods of darkness and silence to take root and to become strong. By unplugging, we are providing ourselves with that necessary dark and quiet. We are allowing our souls to grow at their own pace, away from the prying eyes of the world. We are trusting the invisible process of our own becoming. A monk once spent a year living in a high mountain cave, with no one to talk to and nothing to read. When he returned to the world, people were amazed by the clarity of his eyes and the sweetness of his voice. He seemed to carry the silence of the mountain with him wherever he went. When asked what he had done in the cave, he replied that he had spent the whole year listening to the sound of his own heart. He found that his heart had a lot to say, but it only spoke in whispers. In the noise of the world, he could never hear it. But in the silence of the cave, he could hear every word. His heart told him about his fears, his dreams, and his deepest capacity for love. It told him that he was never truly alone, and that the peace he sought was already within him. While we may not all go to a mountain cave, we can all find small caves of silence in our daily lives. We can spend 10 minutes in the morning before we turn on our phones. We can take a walk in a park and leave our devices in the car. We can sit in a quiet room at the end of the day and just be. These moments of listening to the heart are vital for our spiritual health. They allow us to reconnect with our true values and to stay aligned with our purpose. They remind us that we are more than our jobs, our social media profiles, and our external accomplishments. We are living, breathing souls with a deep and beautiful interior world that deserves our attention and our care. The practice of unplugging is also an act of kindness toward others. When we are constantly distracted, we are never fully present for the people in our lives. We give them only a fraction of our attention, which makes them feel undervalued and unheard. But when we choose to disconnect from the digital world and connect with the person in front of us, we are giving them a rare and precious gift. We are saying that they are more important than anything that is happening on our screens. This quality of presence is the foundation of all healthy relationships. It creates a sense of safety and intimacy that can never be achieved through digital communication alone. There is a story of a grandmother who was known for the beautiful stories she told her grandchildren. One day, her grandson asked her how she knew so many stories. She replied that she didn't know the stories, she just listened for them. She said that when she was quiet and present, the world told her stories. She heard stories in the wind, in the rain, and in the silence of the night. She said that everyone can hear these stories if they just stop talking and start listening. By unplugging, we are becoming like that grandmother. We are opening ourselves up to the stories that the world is trying to tell us. We find that our lives are much more interesting and more meaningful than we ever imagined. This ability to find meaning in the ordinary is a sign of a truly rich life. Most of us are chasing after extraordinary experiences, thinking that they will make us happy. We travel to distant lands, buy expensive things, and look for the next big thrill. But the wise person finds the extraordinary in the ordinary. They see the miracle in a blade of grass, the beauty in a simple meal, and the sacredness in a moment of quiet connection. When we unplug, we stop looking for that next big thing, and start seeing the current big thing that is happening right now. We find that we don't need much to be truly happy. We just need to be present and to be grateful. Gratitude is the natural result of being present. When we are distracted, we tend to focus on what we don't have and what we need to do. We feel a sense of lack and a sense of pressure. But when we are present, we notice all the blessings that are already in our lives. We feel grateful for the air we breathe, the food we eat, and the people who love us. We realize that we are incredibly wealthy, regardless of our bank balance. This sense of gratitude is a powerful source of joy and peace. It turns what we have into enough, and more. It transforms our relationship with the world from one of taking to one of giving. A famous teacher once compared the human mind to a busy railway station. Thoughts and emotions are like trains that are constantly coming and going. Most people spend their lives running from one platform to another, trying to catch every train. They are exhausted and stressed, and they never truly get anywhere. But the practice of mindfulness is like sitting on a bench in the station and just watching the trains. We notice which ones are express trains and which ones are locals. We see them arrive and we see them depart. We don't feel the need to get on every train. We stay on the bench, centered and peaceful, while the world moves around us. Unplugging is the act of sitting on that bench. We stop trying to catch every digital train and every social media update. We realize that most of these trains are not going anywhere we actually want to go. We stay in the station of the present moment, watching the activity with a sense of calm and curiosity. This detachment gives us a sense of freedom and perspective. We are no longer at the mercy of the schedule. We decide which trains are worth our time and which ones are not. We find that the most important journey is the one that happens while we are sitting perfectly still. The digital world often encourages a sense of urgency that is rarely justified. We feel that we must respond to every message immediately, as if the world will stop turning if we wait an hour. This urgency creates a constant state of low-level stress that is very damaging to our health and our happiness. By unplugging, we are challenging this false urgency. We are reminding ourselves and others that most things can wait. We are reclaiming our right to a peaceful and unhurried life. We find that when we stop rushing, we actually get more done, and we do it with much more quality and grace. There is a beautiful ancient poem that speaks of the joy of a life lived in harmony with the seasons. The poet talks about planting in the spring, growing in the summer, harvesting in the autumn, and resting in the winter. He says that each season has its own beauty and its own purpose. Our lives are also meant to have seasons. We are not meant to be in a constant state of summer, productivity and activity. We need the winter of silence and rest to stay healthy and balanced. By unplugging, we are allowing ourselves to experience these internal seasons. We are giving ourselves the permission to rest, to reflect, and to prepare for the next period of growth. This rhythmic way of living is much more sustainable and much more fulfilling than the constant, linear push of the modern world. It allows us to honor our own energy levels and our own changing needs. We learn to listen to our bodies and our hearts, rather than the demands of our devices. We find that when we respect our own internal timing, we are much more resilient and much more creative. We move through the world with a sense of flow and ease, rather than a sense of struggle and force. We become like the river, which moves effortlessly toward the sea, always finding the path of least resistance. The path of least resistance is often the path of silence. In the quiet, we find the answers that we could never find through effort and analysis. We realize that the most difficult problems are often solved not by thinking more, but by thinking less. When we stop the mental chatter and the digital noise, the solution often appears with perfect clarity. It is like the way a complex knot is sometimes easier to untie if you stop pulling on the strings and just let them be. Our minds have a natural intelligence that is much greater than our conscious intellect. By unplugging, we are giving that intelligence the space it needs to work. A story is told of a young man who was trying to find his way through a dark and confusing maze. He spent hours running through the corridors, hitting dead ends and becoming increasingly frustrated. Finally, he sat down and closed his eyes. He stayed perfectly still and listened. He heard the faint sound of a bell ringing in the distance. He realized that the bell was at the exit of the maze. He opened his eyes and walked toward the sound, and within minutes, he was out in the open air. Our inner wisdom is that bell. The maze is the noise and the complexity of the modern world. When we stop running and start listening, we find the way out. We find the path that leads to peace, to purpose, and to genuine connection. As we continue on this journey of unplugging and reconnecting, we might notice that our sense of self begins to change. We stop defining ourselves by our external roles and our digital achievements. We begin to see ourselves as a part of a larger, interconnected web of life. We feel a kinship with all living beings, and a deep sense of responsibility for the well-being of the world. This expanded sense of self is the source of all true compassion and all genuine altruism. It moves us from a life of self-interest to a life of service. We find that the more we give of ourselves, the more we receive in return. We discover the profound joy of being a small but meaningful part of something much larger than ourselves. This sense of connection is the ultimate goal of all spiritual practice. It is the realization that there is no us and them, but only a single, beautiful we. By unplugging from the noise that divides us, we are reconnecting with the truth that unites us. We are building a bridge between our own hearts and the hearts of everyone else. We are contributing to the creation of a more peaceful and a more loving world. This is not a grand, political movement, but a quiet, personal choice that each of us can make every single day. It is the choice to be present, to be kind, and to be silent. So, let us take another moment to feel the ground beneath us and the air around us. Let us acknowledge the light within us and the peace that is always available. Let us move forward with a sense of hope and a sense of purpose. The path is clear, and the destination is home. We are unplugged from the noise, and reconnected to the truth. We are whole, and we are free. May this understanding be a source of strength and inspiration for you, as you continue your journey through the magnificent landscape of your own life. Every step you take in silence is a step toward freedom. Every moment you spend in presence is a gift to the world. You are a vital and beautiful part of the unfolding mystery of life. Trust in the silence, trust in the process, and trust in your own heart. You have everything you need, and you are exactly where you are meant to be. The quiet is not an absence, but a presence. It is the presence of your own soul, waiting to be heard. Listen to it, honor it, and let it guide you home. Think of a small flame in the middle of a dark room. It doesn't need to do anything to light up the space, it just needs to be. Its presence alone is enough to banish the darkness. You are that flame. Your presence, your silence, and your peace are enough to light up your own life and the lives of everyone around you. You don't need to strive, you don't need to compete, and you don't need to be seen. You just need to be. By unplugging, you are giving your flame the protection it needs to stay steady and bright. You are reclaiming your right to be a source of light in a world that is often dark with confusion. This is the beauty and the power of the path we are walking together. It is a path of simplicity, of presence, and of peace. It is the path of returning to our true selves. Let us continue this walk with grace and with dignity. Let us support each other with our silence and our kindness. And let us always remember that the most important thing is to simply be here, right now, in the light and the love of our own being. The world is waiting for your presence. The silence is waiting for your attention. And you are waiting for yourself. Welcome home. The morning mist that clings to the surface of a quiet lake does not struggle to disappear, it simply waits for the sun to touch the water, dissolving naturally into the clarity of the day. Our mental clutter and the persistent noise of our digital attachments are much like that mist, temporary and thin when compared to the vastness of the sky behind them. We often treat our anxieties as if they were solid walls, but in the silence of unplugging, we find they are more like shadows that vanish when we stop turning our backs to the light. This realization brings a profound shift in how we inhabit our own bodies, moving from a state of constant tension to one of fluid grace. We begin to feel the space between our thoughts, a fertile emptiness where the seeds of true insight are allowed to crack open and reach for the air. There is a story of an ancient stone carver who was asked how he managed to create such lifelike birds out of cold, hard granite. He replied that he did not actually create the bird, he simply chipped away everything that was not the bird. The bird was already there, living inside the stone, waiting for the unnecessary weight to be removed. Our true selves are much like those granite birds, encased in layers of digital expectations, social comparisons, and the heavy sediment of constant information. When we choose to disconnect, we are picking up the chisel of mindfulness. We are not adding anything new to who we are, but rather removing the distractions that prevent our natural spirit from taking flight. We find that the more we let go of, the lighter and more authentic we become. Consider the profound intelligence of a migratory bird that travels thousands of miles across oceans and continents without a single map or a digital screen to guide its way. It relies on a deep, internal resonance with the magnetic fields of the earth, a connection that is silent yet unerringly accurate. We possess a similar internal compass, a quiet knowing that tells us when we are off course and when we are moving toward our true home. However, the constant electromagnetic hum of our modern devices and the persistent shouting of the world's opinions act as a kind of interference, jamming our internal signals. By stepping away from the noise, we allow that interference to fade. We start to feel the pull of our own magnetic north, guiding us toward the people, the places, and the actions that truly resonate with our soul's purpose. A young man once approached a master and asked for the secret to a long and peaceful life. The master took him to a nearby stream and pointed to the smooth, rounded pebbles at the bottom. He explained that these stones were once jagged and sharp, but through years of being tumbled by the water and resting in the silence of the riverbed, they had lost their rough edges. The master said that our souls are like those stones, and the silence is the water. In the friction of the world, we become sharp and reactive, but in the gentle flow of our own inner quiet, we are smoothed into a state of beauty and resilience. We don't need to fight the world to be strong, we only need to allow the silence to do its work. This smoothing process is visible in the way we handle the inevitable conflicts of our lives. When we are constantly plugged in, we are like dry tinder, ready to catch fire at the smallest spark of a negative comment or a misunderstood message. We react with heat and smoke, causing damage to ourselves and others. But when we have spent time in the cool depths of our own being, we become more like damp wood or even the water itself. The sparks may fall, but they find nothing to ignite. We develop a spaciousness that allows others to be as they are without threatening our own peace. This is not a sign of weakness or indifference, but a manifestation of immense internal capacity. We realize that we don't have to win every argument to be right, and we don't have to defend every border to be secure. Think of the way a great tree handles a storm. It does not try to hold its leaves perfectly still or resist the wind with rigid force. Instead, it allows its branches to sway and bend, trusting the strength of its deep, hidden roots. The leaves that fall are simply making room for new growth, and the wind itself helps to strengthen the wood. Our digital lives often demand a kind of brittle rigidity, where we feel we must maintain a certain image and a certain position at all times. But the unplugged life is like the swaying branch. We become flexible and adaptable, able to move with the changing winds of the world without losing our center. We find that our strength lies not in our resistance, but in our connection to the source that sustains us. There is an ancient account of a traveler who found a small, abandoned temple in the middle of a dense jungle. The walls were covered in vines and the roof had partially collapsed, but inside, there was a statue of a smiling figure that remained untouched by time. The traveler realized that the temple was not the stone or the wood, but the spirit of peace that occupied the space. Even as the external structure crumbled, the peace remained. Our bodies and our circumstances are like that temple, subject to the wear and tear of time and the elements of the world. But our inner world, the space we cultivate through silence and presence, is the indestructible statue. By spending time in that inner sanctuary, we connect with a part of ourselves that is not subject to the fluctuations of the digital age or the passing trends of society. This internal permanence provides a sense of security that no bank account or social status can ever match. We stop looking for safety in the approval of others or in the accumulation of things, and start finding it in the reliability of our own awareness. We realize that even if everything else were to be taken away, the silence would still be there, and we would still be whole. This is the true meaning of refuge, a place of safety that we carry with us wherever we go. It makes us incredibly brave, because we are no longer afraid of losing the things that were never truly ours to begin with. We move through the world with a sense of light-heartedness, knowing that the most important part of us is already safe and at home. The natural world offers 1,000 lessons in the art of being enough. A wild rose does not look at a lily and feel inadequate, and a sparrow does not envy the eagle's height. They each play their part in the grand symphony of existence, fulfilling their nature without doubt or hesitation. Our digital connections, however, often breed a sense of perpetual inadequacy, as we compare our behind-the-scenes reality with everyone else's highlight reel. Unplugging is the act of stepping off the stage of comparison and returning to the garden of our own being. We start to appreciate our own unique scent, our own specific color, and our own rhythm of blooming. We realize that we are not a project to be improved, but a miracle to be experienced. A teacher once gave his students a blank piece of paper with a small black dot in the center and asked them what they saw. Every student described the black dot, its size, its shape, and its position. The teacher smiled and pointed out that none of them had mentioned the vast expanse of white paper that surrounded the dot. He explained that our problems and our digital distractions are like that black dot, small and insignificant when compared to the vast, white space of our lives. Yet, we allow our attention to be entirely consumed by the dot, forgetting the beauty and the potential of the space. By unplugging, we are widening our gaze. We are acknowledging the dot, but we are choosing to focus on the space. We find that the space is where the peace is, where the freedom is, and where the truth resides. This expansive perspective allows us to see the humor in our own attachments. We can laugh at the way we once felt a surge of anxiety over a slow internet connection or a lack of likes on a photo. We see these things for what they are, small, flickering lights in a vast and ancient universe. This laughter is not a mockery of ourselves, but a celebration of our liberation. It means we have regained our sense of proportion and our sense of play. We realize that life is not a problem to be solved with more information, but a dance to be enjoyed with more presence. We start to move through our days with a gentle smile, recognizing the absurdity and the beauty of the human condition. There is a story of a great king who was so obsessed with his own reflection that he had mirrors placed in every room of his palace. He spent all his time adjusting his crown and smoothing his robes, never looking out at his people or his lands. One day, a wise traveler brought him a piece of clear glass and told him it was a magical mirror that showed the future. When the king looked through it, he didn't see himself. He saw the mountains, the rivers, and the children playing in the fields. He realized that the glass was not a mirror at all, but a window. He had been so trapped by his own image that he had missed the entire world. Our digital devices are often those mirrors, reflecting back to us our own desires, our own opinions, and our own filtered images. Unplugging is the act of turning the mirror into a window. By looking through the window, we rediscover the joy of genuine curiosity. We start to ask questions not because we want to find a quick answer on a search engine, but because we want to understand the mystery of existence. We become students of the wind, the rain, and the silent language of the heart. We find that the most profound answers are not those that can be written down, but those that must be felt in the marrow of our bones. This quest for understanding is what makes us truly human, and it is a journey that can only be taken in the quiet of our own presence. We realize that the world is much bigger and much more mysterious than any screen can ever convey. Consider the way a musician tunes their instrument before a performance. They don't just start playing, they listen carefully to each string, adjusting the tension until it vibrates in perfect harmony with the others. If the instrument is out of tune, the most beautiful music will sound jarring and wrong. Our lives are the instruments, and our attention is the hand that tunes the strings. When we are constantly plugged in, our strings become stretched and strained by the noise, losing their true tone. Unplugging is the time we take to tune ourselves. We listen to the vibration of our own soul, adjusting our priorities and our actions until we are in harmony with our deepest values. When we are in tune, our lives naturally produce a melody of peace and kindness. This harmony is not something we achieve once and then keep forever, it is a daily practice. Every morning presents a new opportunity to tune our hearts. Every evening offers a chance to reflect on the music we have made. By making silence a regular part of our lives, we become more sensitive to the subtle shifts in our own vibration. We notice when we are starting to feel out of tune, and we know how to return to our center. This self-awareness is the key to a stable and fulfilling life. It allows us to move through the world with a sense of integrity and purpose, knowing that our external actions are a true reflection of our internal state. A master was once asked how he managed to stay so calm even in the middle of a busy city. He replied that he carried his own atmosphere with him, like a diver carries their own air in a tank. He said that the world could be as noisy and as chaotic as it wanted, but as long as he stayed connected to his own inner quiet, he was safe. We can all learn to carry our own atmosphere. We can create a buffer of silence between ourselves and the demands of the world. We can choose to respond with calm instead of reacting with noise. This inner atmosphere is not a wall that shuts others out, but a sanctuary that invites others in. People are naturally drawn to those who carry their own peace, and our presence becomes a gift to everyone we meet. The practice of unplugging is also an act of environmental stewardship for the soul. Just as we are learning to protect our physical oceans and forests from pollution, we must also learn to protect our internal landscape from the pollution of constant noise and digital clutter. We are clearing away the plastic waste of superficial information and the smog of endless distraction. We are allowing the air of our consciousness to become clean and clear once again. In this purity, we can see the stars of our own inspiration and the vast horizons of our own potential. We realize that our inner world is a precious resource that deserves our protection and our respect. There is a story of a young girl who found a wounded bird in her garden. She didn't try to force it to fly or tell it how to heal. She simply sat quietly near it every day, offering it her presence and a few seeds. In the silence and the safety of her company, the bird slowly regained its strength. One day, it spread its wings and flew up into the highest branches of a tree, singing a song of gratitude. Our own souls are often like that wounded bird, battered by the noise and the pressure of the modern world. They don't need complicated theories or digital fixes, they simply need our quiet presence and the safety of our own company. When we give ourselves that silence, we find that we have a natural capacity for healing and for flight. This self-healing is a quiet and miraculous process. It happens in the gaps between the messages and the spaces between the thoughts. It is the work of the silence itself. By choosing to unplug, we are making ourselves available for this miracle. We are stepping out of the way and allowing the wisdom of our own being to take over. We find that the things we thought were broken are actually just tired, and the things we thought were lost are actually just hidden. We return to our lives with a sense of wholeness and a renewed capacity for joy. We realize that we have everything we need, and that we have always been enough. Think of a sculptor working on a great piece of art. They spend hours, days, and even years slowly removing the excess material, revealing the beauty that was hidden within the stone. They don't rush the process, and they don't look for quick results. They trust their hands and they trust the vision in their hearts. Our lives are our greatest work of art, and we are the sculptors. Every time we choose to unplug, we are removing the excess. We are chipping away at the habits of distraction and the layers of superficiality. We are revealing the masterpiece that is our true self. This is a journey of a lifetime, and it is a journey that is well worth taking. The path of the heart is a path of return. It is a return to simplicity, a return to presence, and a return to love. In the digital age, we have wandered far from our own center, lured by the flickering lights of the virtual world. But the silence is always calling us back. It is the voice of our own soul, whispering to us in the moments when the noise fades. By listening to that voice, we find our way home. We find that the peace we have been searching for is not in some distant future or in some digital paradise, but right here, in the quiet spaces of our own lives. As we move toward the final horizon of our journey, let us carry the light of this understanding with us. Let it be the warmth in our hearts and the clarity in our eyes. Let it be the source of our kindness and the foundation of our strength. We are not just finding peace for ourselves, we are becoming beacons of peace for the world. Our silence is a powerful force for good, a quiet reminder of what is truly important. We are unplugged from the noise, and reconnected to the truth. We are whole, and we are free. May this peace stay with you, in every breath and in every moment, as you continue your beautiful and mysterious walk through the world. The stars do not compete with each other for brilliance, they simply shine in the vastness of the night, each contributing its own light to the beauty of the heavens. When we are truly reconnected to our inner world, we become like those stars. We no longer feel the need to outshine others or to prove our worth through digital metrics. We find a quiet confidence in our own existence, a steady light that does not depend on anyone else's recognition. This is the ultimate freedom, to be who we are, without apology and without effort. We realize that our unique light is exactly what the world needs, and that by simply shining, we are fulfilling our highest purpose. So, let us take another moment to appreciate the stillness. Let us feel the life force flowing through us, vibrant and strong. Let us acknowledge the beauty of our own soul and the sacredness of the present moment. We are home, and we are safe. The journey continues, but we are no longer lost. We have found the center, and we have found the peace. May you walk through the rest of your life with this grace and this clarity, knowing that the silence is always your friend and the truth is always your guide. You are a miracle of existence, and you are exactly where you are meant to be. Welcome home to the heart of yourself. The gentle hum of the universe is rarely heard by those who are constantly searching for the next digital signal, yet it remains the most faithful companion to the human spirit. When we finally allow the tether to the virtual world to go slack, we don't fall into a void. Instead, we land softly in the lap of a reality that is far more vibrant and supportive than any artificial network. We begin to perceive the subtle textures of our own existence that were previously flattened by the glare of a screen. We feel the density of the air, the specific warmth of a sunbeam on our wrist, and the profound weight of our own history etched into the lines of our palms. This sensory homecoming is the true beginning of wisdom, a return to the biological and spiritual roots that have been waiting patiently for our return. There is a story of an ancient village where the people believed that every person possessed a sacred jar of silence. They believed that this silence was a liquid light that gave them the power to heal, to create, and to understand the hearts of others. However, as the village grew more prosperous and busy, people began to trade their liquid light for shiny trinkets and loud instruments. Their jars became empty, and soon they found they could no longer sleep. They argued constantly, and their art became hollow. One day, a child found an old, dusty jar in a cellar and, instead of filling it with noise, she took it to the forest and sat perfectly still. The jar began to glow again, filling with the soft light of the moss and the quiet breath of the trees. She brought the glowing jar back to the village, and its presence alone was enough to remind everyone of the treasure they had lost. We are like those villagers, often trading our sacred interior silence for the fleeting trinkets of digital attention and the loud instruments of constant information. We feel a sense of depletion that we cannot name, a thirst that no amount of data can quench. But the child's discovery is our discovery. The light is not gone, it is simply waiting for a vessel that is still enough to hold it. By unplugging, we are cleaning our own jars. We are making ourselves capable of holding the light of the present moment once again. We find that the more we value our own silence, the more we have to offer to a world that is starving for genuine presence. We become the keepers of the light, moving through the busy streets with a quiet radiance that calms the hearts of everyone we encounter. This radiant presence is particularly powerful in our relationships with those who are suffering. When a friend is in pain, they don't always need a link to an article or a digital message filled with colorful icons. They need the solid, unmoving support of a human being who is not looking at a watch or a phone. They need a heart that is a vast, quiet room where they can sit and breathe until their own storm passes. By cultivating our inner world, we are building that room. We are developing the capacity to hold the suffering of others without being overwhelmed by it. Our silence becomes a sanctuary for them, a place where they feel safe enough to be vulnerable and strong enough to heal. This is the highest form of connection, a communion of spirits that happens far below the surface of words. Consider the life of a great tree that has stood in the same spot for hundreds of years. It has seen the rise and fall of empires, the changing of climates, and the passage of countless generations. It does not move, yet it is never stagnant. It is constantly engaging with the soil, the water, and the sun, turning the raw elements of the earth into the beauty of leaves and wood. It provides a home for the birds and shade for the weary traveler, yet it asks for nothing in return. Its life is a continuous act of giving, born from its deep connection to the source of its being. When we are reconnected to our inner world, we become like that tree. Our lives stop being a series of transactions and start being a continuous flow of generosity. We give of our time, our attention, and our love, not because we want something back, but because our well-being is so full that it naturally overflows. A story is told of a man who spent his whole life trying to capture the wind in a net. He ran across fields and climbed high mountains, waving his net frantically, but the wind always slipped through the mesh. He grew old and bitter, convinced that the wind was his enemy and that he had failed in his life's work. One day, exhausted, he sat down and dropped his net. He closed his eyes and felt the wind gently stroking his hair and cooling his skin. He realized that he didn't need to catch the wind to experience it. He only needed to stop trying to possess it. Our digital efforts to capture and document every moment of our lives are much like that net. We try to trap the experience in a photo or a post, but the true essence of the moment always escapes. By letting go of the net, we finally feel the wind of life. We experience the reality of the moment with a depth and a joy that no digital capture can ever provide. This shift from possessing to experiencing is a profound liberation. We stop being the historians of our own lives and start being the participants. We realize that the most beautiful things in the world are those that cannot be held, only felt. We find a sense of wonder in the fleeting nature of existence, appreciating the sunset precisely because it is vanishing, and the flower precisely because it will wilt. This acceptance of transience is the key to a deep and lasting peace. It allows us to love the world without the fear of losing it, and to enjoy our lives without the need to freeze them in time. We move through our days with a light touch, grateful for every breath and every encounter, knowing that each one is a unique and precious gift. The silence we find when we unplug is not a dead silence, but a living, breathing presence that is full of intelligence and love. It is the language of the universe, a language that speaks not in words, but in vibrations and insights. When we learn to listen to this language, we find that we are never truly alone. We feel a kinship with the stars, the stones, and the very air around us. We see that we are part of a magnificent and ancient story, a story that is being written in every moment by the hand of the divine. This realization brings a sense of profound security and belonging. We know that we are seen, that we are known, and that we are loved, not for what we do or what we have, but for who we are. There is a beautiful account of a young woman who was a famous musician, known for her incredible technical skill and her ability to play the most complex pieces perfectly. However, she felt that her music had no soul, that it was just a series of precise sounds. She went to see an old master who lived in a quiet valley. The master told her to stop practicing for a month and to spend her time listening to the silence of the valley. At first, she found the silence unbearable, but gradually, she started to hear the music in the silence. She heard the rhythm of the seasons and the melody of the light. When she finally picked up her instrument again, her music was transformed. It had a depth and a resonance that brought people to tears. She had learned that the music doesn't come from the instrument, it comes from the silence that the musician carries within. Our lives are the music we make, and our inner world is the silence that gives it soul. By unplugging, we are returning to that silence. We are allowing our lives to be infused with a depth and a meaning that can only be found in the quiet. We stop performing for an audience and start playing for the joy of the music itself. We find that our actions become more graceful, our words more kind, and our thoughts more clear. We become a source of beauty and inspiration for the world, not because we are trying to be, but because we are in harmony with the source of all beauty. Our presence becomes a quiet song that reminds others of the music in their own hearts. This harmony is the ultimate goal of our journey. It is a state of being where the inner and the outer are one, where our actions are a perfect reflection of our deepest values. It is a state of integrity and wholeness that is unshakable by the storms of the world. When we are in this state, we don't need to look for peace, we are peace. We don't need to look for love, we are love. We become the living manifestation of the truth that we have been searching for. This is the gift of unplugging to reconnect. It brings us back to the center of our own being, where we find that everything we have ever wanted is already here. Think of a small candle flame in a drafty house. It flickers and struggles to stay lit, its light cast in jagged shadows on the walls. This is our spirit when we are constantly buffeted by the noise and the demands of the digital world. But when we close the windows and doors of our attention, the air becomes still. The flame grows steady and bright, rising in a straight, clear line toward the ceiling. Its light becomes soft and even, illuminating every corner of the room. By unplugging, we are closing the doors. We are creating the conditions where our inner light can shine with its full intensity. We realize that we don't need a bigger flame, we just need a quieter house. As we move toward the final moments of this shared reflection, let us feel the steadiness of our own internal flame. Let us appreciate the warmth and the clarity it provides. We carry this light with us as we step back into the world, not as a separate thing, but as the very essence of who we are. We move with a sense of calm and a sense of purpose, knowing that we have a sanctuary within us that is always available. We are the masters of our own attention, the guardians of our own peace, and the creators of our own joy. We have found the path home, and the door is always open. There is a profound sense of gratitude that comes from this realization. We feel grateful for the noise that taught us the value of silence, and for the distraction that showed us the beauty of presence. We feel grateful for the technology that connects us, and for the wisdom that tells us when to let it go. We realize that every experience in our lives has been a stepping stone on the path to our own awakening. We look at the world with eyes of love and compassion, seeing the sacredness in every detail. We find that we are already enough, and that we have always been home. The journey of 15,000 words is now complete, yet the real journey of your life is just beginning. It is a journey that happens in every breath, in every choice, and in every moment of silence. You are the navigator of this journey, and your own heart is your compass. Trust in the wisdom of your soul, and in the peace of your own being. Remember that you are a miracle of existence, a unique and beautiful expression of the universal spirit. Carry this truth with you as you walk through the world, and let it be the light that guides your path. The silence is not an end, but a beginning. It is the fertile soil from which a new way of living can grow. It is the canvas upon which you can paint a life of meaning, purpose, and joy. By choosing to unplug and reconnect, you have taken a courageous step toward your own liberation. You have reclaimed your life from the forces of distraction and returned it to the sanctuary of your own heart. Stay in that sanctuary, tend to that light, and listen to the music of your own soul. You are home, you are whole, and you are free. May this peace stay with you always, a quiet companion in every step of your magnificent journey.